have taken center stage. With a chance to prove their worth, they hope to provide the Shea faithful with a glimpse of brighter things to come. It's a National League East showdown, and it's coming up next. Welcome to ESPN Day Game. We're live from Shea Stadium in New York, and today on ESPN HD, high-definition television. This Wednesday afternoon, the Braves go for a 3-game sweep of the Mets. Atlanta surging toward the All-Star break with the best record in baseball. They send Russ Ortiz out against Tom Glavine. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Shea Stadium. I'm Dave O'Brien, delighted to be joined by my partner, Mike Lansing. And Mike, an excellent pitcher's duel to cap off this series. And for Atlanta, it's 11-4 Russ Ortiz. The last time a lot of us saw Russ Ortiz, he was being rather famously removed from Game 6 of the World Series.
Well, make no mistake about it, Dave. The Atlanta Braves got Russ Ortiz because he's a big game pitcher. He's one of those guys that's going to show up every time. He's beaten the Braves a lot. They liked what he was throwing. Now today, he's going to go into the game. He's going to establish a high fastball. He's one of the best guys in the National League at doing that. He sets up the high fastball, set up his curveball, and if the young Mets hitters cannot lay off that pitch, it's going to be a long day for him.
It'll be interesting to see. Now, Tom Glavine, they liked a lot of what he threw in his 16 years in Atlanta. He won 242 games. He's had a devil of a time trying to defeat them now as a New York Met. In his last start, he knocked off Cincinnati 7-2. A little something different, though, from Glavine in that start. It was fastballs inside, breaking balls away. Anything new today for the Braves?
Well, I think he's more relaxed. He's going to be a more relaxed pitcher. He's already faced them a couple times. It's tough on him to go against his old team. But I think in talking with him, he says, yeah, you might try to trick him. You might come back with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, show him a little something different, you know, just to change it up on him. So I think we'll see a great Tom Glavine today.
The change-ups, I believe, I'm not so sure about the 95-mile-an-hour fastball. I don't know if he ever had one of those, but he's been awfully good. And today he'll try and knock off the Atlanta Braves. Has had a lot of luck against them so far. He is joined by our Gary Miller. They caught up with each other earlier today.
Tom, you've had a couple of chances to face the Braves. How different is it when you face this team?
Well, it's different. I mean, when you spend so much time in your career playing with one organization with that many guys in particular, it's strange. You go out there and you're facing guys that you're accustomed to playing with, and you know, once you get over that part of it, you have to start dealing with the side of having played with these guys so long, wondering how much they know what you're trying to do, who has the advantage, and all that kind of mental stuff that goes along with it. You know, hopefully all that stuff's out of the way now, and I can go out there and just kind of focus on what I'm trying to do and not worry so much about all that other stuff.
You probably learned what not to do with the first two appearances against them, right?
I mean, the first one, I didn't know what to expect. You know, being in Atlanta and the first time against them, first time back there. I mean, I knew it was probably either going to be really good or really bad. Unfortunately, it was the latter. The second time here, you know, I actually felt a lot more relaxed. I felt like I pitched okay. You know, I had a couple of balls that were decent pitches that they just beat me on, and that's going to happen. And you know, particularly with them, as good as they were swinging the bats at that point in time, it was no surprise. But you know, there's no question I have to pitch better than I have, and probably go look at some tape and see some things that I can maybe make adjustments on and take it from there.
I'm sure you hoped he's not totally healthy last year, but I'm sure you hoped that Javi would have hit the way he did this year when you still had him on your team. Tell me about the chess game pitching against the guy who caught you and called pitches.
Well, that's probably the biggest thing, is you wonder how much, with him having caught me as much as he has, you know, whether he has the upper hand or not. But, you know, I think that in the end, it boils down to what it always is. I think everybody knows what I try to do. It's just a matter of how well I execute, and hopefully I'll execute this time around better than I did the first two times around. But, you know, my hat's off to Javi. He's having a heck of a year. He worked hard in the offseason, and he's certainly made that pay off. And he, like so many guys in that lineup, have swung the bats well, and hopefully sooner or later are going to cool off.
There's been a lot of articles written both in the Atlanta Journal and here in various New York papers about, did he make a mistake? He went for the money. How have you settled the fact that they're so far ahead in the other end of the division and they're doing so well and the Mets are struggling?
You know what? To me, it's a 4-year commitment. I'll judge how I felt about this decision 4 years from now. It's way too easy to say why you made the wrong decision now because of where things are at. But this is more than a 1-year deal, so we'll assess it at that point in time. But so far, you know, I've enjoyed it. It's been fun being in a new organization. It's been fun being a part of things here and hopefully being a part of the change that gets things going in the right direction. But, you know, I feel very appreciated here, and you know, that's the big thing I think that everybody wants.
And he wants a little revenge in this afternoon's game. Dave?
That's right, Gary. Don't be fooled by that boyish grin on Tom Glavine's face. He wants to beat Atlanta badly. And how about this boyish smile? 20-year-old phenom for the Mets, Jose Reyes. He is special, and he's in the lineup for the Mets when we come back to Shea Stadium.
Look what Pizza Hut's got for you now.
Here's your pizza with Mr. Mom and starring Michael Keaton and
ESPN's Day Game, brought to you by GMC, presenting sponsor of the ESPY Awards, July 16th at 8 p.m.
It's a day game here on ESPN on a Wednesday afternoon. Mike Lansing, Dave O'Brien with you from Shea Stadium. A hot, muggy afternoon as the Mets and the Braves wrap up a 3-game series. And, well, Bobby Cox's team has won 5 in a row. They always play well in July. In fact, they have not had a losing record in the month of July since 1990. That's a whole lot of winning. And a look at Bobby's lineup today. Rafael Furcal will start it off. The All-Star at shortstop. Gary Sheffield, another All-Star. 69 RBIs for him. Chipper Jones, not an All-Star, Mike Lansing, for the 2nd year in a row. But you can't fool the Mets. He's All-Star material whenever he swings the bat in this ballpark.
Well, he absolutely just kills these guys. And that's not a good sign, and especially now, right before the break, Chipper is one of the hottest hitters in the league. Had a couple games where he had multiple home runs, and now he's coming against a team he swings the bat well against anyway. That's not a good sign for the Mets. 16
career home runs at Shea Stadium. Tom Glavine, the New York Met lefty, is 6-8 with a .464 earned run average. Of course, he won 242 games for Atlanta. He helped pitch them into 5 World Series, but 0-2 against them this year.
Well, I think we talked about it in the open. He said, you know what? I'm going to be a little more relaxed today. I'm going to go out. They know me, yes. You know what? But everybody around the league knows me. And I think he realizes that, and I think he's going to take a little more pressure off himself, and I think that will help him in this game.
Defensively now for the New York Mets, it'll be Burnitz in left, Perez in center, Cedeno in right. The shortstop, all eyes on 20-year-old Jose Reyes. He is a spectacular young talent with great range, a big arm, and he could do something special today.
Well, he's one of those younger guys that is fun to watch. Every time he is in the game, he's fun to watch, and it's interesting because he's going up against an all-star, not personally, but Rafael Furcal. You know, little countryman there. You can little competition, show off your stuff, and it's a good chance for him today.
I thought you were introducing Rafael Furcal right there as if you were going to walk right through that door from the bullpen, but he's already at home plate. He's ready to rock and roll, and they have to close the bullpen gate and get started here. So a hot one with a threat of weather later on in the afternoon, but with these 2 pitchers, we could be out of here in about 2.5 hours. Rafael Furcal hitting .288. He's hit 11 home runs, and the first pitch is across for strike 1. The Braves about to head on to Chicago for a 4-game series against the Cubs. That'll be their last series before the All-Star break. And then 7 Braves stay in Chicago. Wrap foul by Furcal. And a count 0-2. So 7 of them stay behind in Chicago for the All-Star game next Tuesday, including this guy.
That's awful convenient, too. You're going to Chicago to play. Now you just get to stay. You don't have to take another long flight.
You may not even have to leave the team hotel. Popped up down the left field line, but that's going to drift toward the stands and out of the range of Jeremy Burnitz.
When we talk about Reyes and you say that he's an exciting young player to watch, well, Rafael Furcal has become that way in the last 2-3 years and really come into himself this year. Everyone knows about the strength of his arm, good range as a shortstop. This year, it's surprising that he has 11 home runs, and they're not looking for that out of a leadoff hitter, but whatever they get from that, that's obviously a bonus.
A little bit outside, and Furcal would not chase it. Do you think when Jose Reyes came to the ballpark today, knowing he was going head-to-head, at least in one sense, position to position, with Rafael Furcal, it meant something extra to him?
Well, I think you get a little bit more fired up. I mean, you realize who you're going to play against, and obviously, you know, he knows that Rafael Furcal is the shortstop, and that's going to be on this. That's going to be an all-star.
They're often compared to one another. I mean, when you talk about Reyes a year ago as the minor league player of the year, USA Today's minor league player of the year for the entire nation, when they spoke of him, they compared him most often to Furcal at short, but also physique-wise and potential-wise to Alfonso Soriano of the Yankees.
And if you look at him, he is a little more slender and rough, and he's got that long, lean body, and that could develop into more power, like Soriano has obviously developed his power. And obviously you're looking at a 20-year-old kid that has yet to develop all that.
Just turned 20, and this has turned into a pretty good at-bat for Rafael Furcal. He was in the hole 0-2 to Glavin, who has worked him away and into a full count now, 3-2.
And I think you can see that's why he has matured a little bit more and become a better hitter, is because he is a little bit more patient.
Pops this one up. Is it catchable? Jason Phillips, one of the young Mets, up against that screen, but it's on top of the net.
Well,
on deck, Mark DeRosa.
This is the thing about Tom Glavine, too, is that in the past, and everyone knows, Tom Glavine is one of those pitchers that just does not give in. You think that, okay, he's going to throw the ball away. Finally, he's going to come in. Well, he's shown a couple balls inside to Furcal, but he will not give in, and that's what makes him so successful. Basically, he forces the hitter to give in and chase bad pitches.
So far, Furcal has been pretty patient, and Glavine stopped right in the middle of the windup. Just getting underway today at Shea Stadium. A noontime start locally. Some of these guys just rolled out of bed. Wrap foul at the plate. He's still fighting. You talked about Glavine not giving in. How about Rafael Furcal?
And that's part of the maturing process, I think, that Rafael Furcal has shown and has made him the quality leadoff hitter that he has become. And obviously everyone knows about his speed as well, because he can run with anybody.
This is the 10th pitch of this at bat, the first hitter Glavine faces today. And he walks him into the dirt for ball 4. So Furcal wins that fight. His first 2 starts against his old mates, the Atlanta Braves, have been pretty dismal. On May 24th, a 10-4 loss, and then on May 30th, that game was a little bit better. He went up against Maddox in that one, but he's allowed 6 home runs.
And that's not like him at all. He's not a gopher ball pitcher, as per se we would say. But I think in the first game you could obviously see the 3 1/3.
This is swinging a high fly ball center field. Perez backing up. That one almost touched the underbelly of a jet screaming over from nearby LaGuardia. And so DeRosa, going after the very first pitch, flies out after a long at bat by Furcal. DeRosa goes after the first one. That'll bring up Gary Sheffield.
And in the first meeting you saw, he was 3 1/3 innings. You know, that's not like Tom Glavine. Those could have been those first game jitters against your old teammates. Second game, you see that he goes 7 innings, a little more comfortable. And as we said, he feels like he's going to be a little bit more comfortable today, and you expect to see better pitches from him.
Well, he'd better make good pitches to this guy. They better be great pitches. Gary Sheffield having an awesome year at .332 with 22 homers. In his career, he's been up to bat 48 times against Glavine. He's taken him out of the yard 5 times.
Well, I think you could probably say that against anybody. This Gary Sheffield has been one of the premier hitters in the league for the last 5 to 7 years, and he's continued that this year. And I think this is the why that they are having such a successful year with not only Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones. Now Gary Sheffield has just added so much more to this offense, and now they're not only a pitching team, but they're an offensive team.
Oh, you throw in Javi Lopez in the year he's having with 23 home runs, an all-star, and Atlanta is a murderer's row all of a sudden. First pitch in there for strike 1. And I think you're right about Gary Sheffield setting the tone for this team. The Braves not only lead the National League in homers, they have also struck out less than any club in the National League. Sheffield, the embodiment of that swing hard but don't miss philosophy. So 22 homers, just 25 strikeouts coming into today. Javi Lopez, another guy hitting a lot of home runs, not striking out much. They count 1 ball and 1 strike.
And you don't see that a lot today with most of the home run hitters. You'll see that they get their strikeouts, you know, but it's a give and take process right there. But Gary Sheffield has always been one of the most patient hitters in the league. He's not afraid to take his walks.
Tremendous knowledge of the strike zone. And umpires have a very high regard for that. It's Jeff Nelson behind the plate. That's a strike. Now, Sheffield didn't think so. Just a little glance to let him know that, well, I didn't think so.
And that's the pitch that Tom Glavine has made a career off of right there. And if he gets that pitch from Jeff Nelson, that makes it tougher on the hitters. And obviously Gary believes that, well, I'm an all-star and I'm a great hitter. I should not have that pitch called on me.
I think conversely, Tom Glavine is headed for Cooperstown, so he gets a lot of respect. Line toward the alley, but here comes Perez, and it's going to fall in for a base hit. Recall waited for it to drop in, so he moves up 90 feet, and Atlanta is going after Tommy Glavine with 2 on and 1 out in front of Chipper Jones.
Well, I think this ball gets in on him a little bit, but Gary is so strong and trying to come in with a fastball. And he's just so strong, and he gets beat a little bit with that pitch, but when you are that strong, you can go ahead and hit those balls because the outfield has to play so deep, and Tommy knows he makes a good pitch right there, a little disgusted, a little down about it. And that's a little discouraging, I'm sure, when he makes a good pitch, a quality pitch like that, but that's why these guys are such good hitters.
Well, another good one. Chipper Jones, the Met killer, and he flies that one to right field. That might fall in. It's going to drop fair. Here comes Franco. He's in to score. Cedeno fires in, overshot the cutoff man. Sheffield into third base. It's an RBI single for Chipper Jones. He's doing it again to the New York Mets. That's his 55th RBI, and it's 1-0 Atlanta.
The center fielder, number 25, Andrew Jones.
This pitch, and actually Phillips looked like he wanted to set up a little bit away, and it came down and in. And Chipper kind of just inside out the ball down the line. Cedeno didn't really have a chance at that ball.
At Shea Stadium, 322 lifetime. Look at the 16 home runs. He had 2 here in the first game of the series. Andrew Jones now. Glavine can't get out of the inning. A line drive base hit up the middle and chases in Sheffield. Chipper Jones rounding second. He is into third, sliding safely. An RBI single for Andrew Jones, who has 61 RBIs. Now it is 2-0. And this just might be one of those curses for Tom Glavine that he may never shake. Now, as a New York Met, will he ever be able to beat Atlanta?
Well, this ball obviously just catches too much part of the plate, and Andrew put great wood on it. And that's the thing about the Braves now with this offense, that each guy can do damage. I mean, they can hit the ball out of the park from 3 to 6. Now you have to deal with Javi Lopez. It's tough on pitchers.
Lopez having maybe the best year of his career at 308 with 23 homers, 51 RBIs. He has been rewarded by being voted in as the starting catcher for the National League in the All-Star game. But how much of this, what's happening, 3 consecutive hits, was set up by the 10-pitch walk to Rafael Franco? Well, I think a little bit low for a ball.
And I think you make a good point, you know, and Franco fouls off some good pitches that Glavine usually maybe, you know, gets a guy out on, but he fouls him off, makes him work a little bit harder. Go ahead and walk it. He goes ahead and walks him, makes it a little bit tougher on him.
That's what a good leadoff man does. See every pitch he has. Remember, he was 0-2 in that count. Across for a called strike, and look at Tommy Glavine. This is including what's happened so far here in the first inning today. His season numbers against Atlanta. This is as gruesome as he's ever been against anybody, even very early in his career, Mike.
You know, and the thing is too is that once something is planted in your head, maybe the Braves already know coming into the game today, hey, we've had some success.
Fly to left, backing up Burnitz. He'll make the catch. Chipper Jones tagging up, and he is coming on in to score. So another run across, and a big start here for the Braves today. They take a 3-0 lead. Lopez driving in his 52nd run. Big RBI totals up and down their lineup. 3 runs, 3 hits, 2 down.
And that's one of the things, you know what? The Braves come to the park today already knowing that, you know what, we've beat him up a couple times. We know what he's going to throw. That's just a confidence level, and there's so much to be said for confidence. I mean, you walk to the plate knowing you're going to get a hit off a certain pitcher, or maybe you don't think you're going to get a hit. You know, it works both ways, but maybe that's just the way it's going to be now, you know, when they face Tom Glavine. Hey, we know we can get to him no matter what he throws.
His earned run average against Atlanta is 60.54 this year. Tom Glavine, that's just incredible. Julio Franco batting .293 with a homer and 15 runs batted in. Andrew Jones at first. The one home run that Franco has this season came against Tom Glavine. And misses up high. You talk about how relaxed Tommy was before the game. You chatted with him down in the clubhouse, and he was very loosey-goosey. He certainly was with Gary Miller in the interview a little bit earlier. And yet, he comes out and immediately coughs up 3 runs. He's made some good pitches. That has not been the case in his previous outings against the Braves.
And that's the thing, too. Maybe he walks away if he gets out of this inning thinking, you know what? And he's a total professional. He's done this for many years, so he knows how to handle this in situations. You know, let me get out of this now, walk into the dugout. Okay, hey, I've made some good pitches. Don't be so down on yourself, and I'm sure he won't be. But you know what? I've made some good pitches. I'm just going to continue to make good quality pitches. Perhaps they hit it at somebody next time.
24 pitches, and 16 of them have been strikes. And yet he's made good pitches that have dropped in for base hits, too. That has to be ultimately more frustrating than anything.
Well, and that's what makes the Braves so good, too, is on the other hand of that, you know what? Hey, we've got a guy down. Let's keep him down. You know, next time when we come up again and he throws good quality pitches, let's put good swings on it again.
The count on Franco 2-2. Andrew Jones chased back. Tom Glavine and the rest of the Mets wearing their blue caps today. Last night, for the first time all year, they broke out the blue caps. Didn't work out too well. They lost game 2 of the series. They lost the first 2 games here. Now they're down 3-0. They may be shelving the blue caps after today. Line drive right out of the reach of Clark and down into the corner. Andrew Jones is heading into third. Dug out by Cedeno. And another single. It's the 4th in the inning as Franco ripped it by Clark. And they're on at first and third again.
Julio Franco has made a living out of this, and he's played for so long by doing this. Balls out over the plate. People think they can get in on him. No, he stands away from the plate. Ball out over the plate, just reaches out, pokes it down there. And he's got such great plate coverage, and that's what makes him such a good hitter, is that he can reach balls that are just a little bit off the plate, balls that are inside the plate.
Now you got a young New York Met team with rookies all over the place. Jason Phillips and Ty Wigginton, and a terrific young player Jose Reyes at shortstop. But you have a 37-year-old veteran with a ticket to Cooperstown when it's all over on the mound. And you know, if you're Art Howe and Vern Rule, who just visited the Hill, you expect more than this. You expect a crisper performance, even though it's Atlanta, and all the emotion that has to be tied up for Tom Glavine when facing this team. But they have not gotten a quality performance out of Tom Glavine in the 3 starts against him. This is the 8th batter in the first inning against the left-hander. One thing about the Braves that often goes overlooked is how good they are on the base paths. The last 3 singles, Mike, have allowed base runners to advance 2 bases.
Well, and that just shows, you know what, once they're done hitting, they're not done playing the game, and that's what's so important, is that, you know what, they've been aggressive, they've gone to third, they've been, when Sheffield went to third, you know, it's just those things that make it easier on the next guy up. It makes it easier for a sacrifice fly or a single. You don't have to hit the extra base hit when your guys are aggressive on the base path.
I'll tell you what, this is also a Met outfield you can run on. You can pick up the extra base. If you want to be aggressive, you can do it against Cedeno, Perez, and Burnitz.
They don't have the strongest arms in the league, that's for sure, and I think everybody knows that. And when the scouting reports come, you know, hey, you can take that extra base.
And with this Atlanta lineup, they all have to play so deep. That one fouled back. And it got 2-2 on Vinny Castilla. He cracked a home run last night, drove in 3 runs.
Well, I think, you know, and one of the things that we noticed too is that even Chipper Jones, who runs adequately, the ball that Andrew Jones hit was a little left of center and left center, and Chipper never even hesitated to get to third.
Sure.
Then Javi comes up and hits an easy sacrifice fly, and those are the little things that people don't realize. That, boy, I'll tell you what, that helps.
Vinny Castilla last night with his 13th home run of the season. Remember, last year he hit 12 the entire campaign.
You know what? And I think this has been a great acquisition for them. He came over last year, you know, and he only hit 12 home runs last year, but he was getting a little more acclimated, probably being with the Braves again, because he started in their organization.
Ground ball down to get it. Wiggins, a nice play, but a long throw. Will it be in time? It will be. Nicely done by the rookie Ty Wigginton. So he bails out Glavine with a lengthy toss across the diamond. But it cost Glavine 32 pitches in the first inning. Wigginton helps him out, but Atlanta scores 3. day game. Art Howe wishing it were a night game. 3-0 Atlanta. They get 4 hits off Tom Glavine, who really scuffles against the Braves. And now look at the New York Mets starting lineup for Art Howe. It'll be Roger Cedeno at the top of the order. Jeremy Burnitz has hit 18 home runs. Tony Clark with 10 home runs. A couple of big winners. And Ty Wigginton, we just saw his glove work at third base. The rookie has been very steady.
Well, I think they've been more impressed by what he's done defensively. He's become a better third baseman. But offensively, he's leading all the offensive categories for all rookies. And speaking with Art Howe, you know what? He's been so pleased with him. And Art says, you know what? He's a throwback kind of guy. And Art loves those kind of guys. He plays hard every day, and he's a gamer. In his exact words, he's a gamer.
He's always dirty. This guy's a big game pitcher. Russ Ortiz, 11-4 coming in with a 3.50 ERA.
Well, he is a big game pitcher, and obviously he leads the league in wins. And if he establishes that high fastball, it's going to be a long day for these guys.
Cedeno starts it hitting .258, batting from the left side today. And of course, when you look at the New York Mets, we just showed you that starting lineup. That's Tony Clark at first base, not Mo Vaughn. Jason Phillips in the catching, not Mike Piazza. Roberto Alomar has been traded to the Chicago White Sox, so it's Ray Sanchez at second base. So 3 of the biggest stars the Mets had on opening day, Piazza, Alomar, and Vaughn, are either injured or gone. That's 25 all-star selections among them not playing for the Mets right now.
And Art also said, you know what, this has been the first time that he has managed a team that has had this many injuries to so many key players in one season. And you mentioned those 3 guys. Then you throw in their number 2 starter in Pedro Estacio, who's done for the year. Mike Stanton's been on the DL for a month. Jeremy Burnitz at a month at a time.
That's right.
That makes it tough on a team, and it makes it tough on a manager.
But Art also said something interesting to you. He said, this is New York, so none of that matters.
No, the bottom line still is wins and losses, and he knows that. And it's almost like, as he says, nobody even cares that these guys are not there and they're not playing or they're hurt.
Kind of short memories here in the Big Apple. Swung on and missed by Cedeno, who has become the secondary target of the Bluebirds at Shea. Number 1 is certainly Armando Benitez. And now defensively, for the Atlanta Braves, the Jones boys in left and center. Gary Sheffield is in right. We like this matchup today. Rafael Percal against Jose Reyes.
Well, we talked about Reyes, and he's an upcoming young player, and Percal, obviously, with the All-Star selection, is one of the more exciting shortstops to watch in the game, and it's very exciting to watch him throw the ball. He doesn't leave anything left in the bag when he throws the ball across the diamond, that's for sure.
He means to throw it right through Franco at first base today as many times as he can.
Yeah. And it's fun to watch.
An electric player, as is Reyes. The shortstop position continues to be the most stocked in baseball with great talent. Flick foul by Timo Perez. He's hitting .259.
And it's funny because you mentioned that over in the American League, you have obviously the Alex Rodriguez, the Derek Jeter, the Nomar Garcia-Parras,
Miguel Tejada.
Exactly, and you could keep on going. Well, now the National League has come up with some guys. Percal, Reyes, Renteria. Now they're not the same kind of type of players, but I'll tell you what, Garrett, most of these managers would take these guys.
Rich Aurelia is one of those exceptions who has hit home runs at that position in the past. But how about an Alex Gonzalez down in Florida, who's had an all-star kind of a season down there, can hit for power. He's hit for a high average, not being recognized as an all-star this year. That gives you an idea of how stocked the position is. And up and away on Perez.
And he's had an excellent year, and it's been mentioned. And then the other day when they were the other Alex Gonzalez from the Cubs was playing, and they were playing against each other, and they both made great defensive plays, and both of them had home runs. I mean, it's a fun position to watch in baseball right now.
Swinging a fly ball straight away center, but that's Andrew Jones territory, and right into the glove of the 5-time Gold Glover. And there are 2 out. Ty Wigginton up next. Russ Ortiz last year, when pitching against Atlanta, the San Francisco Giants, in the playoffs, he was the man. You talked about his big game capabilities. Well, he was 2-0 in the division series for the Giants against the Braves with an ERA of 2.19. And to a man, every Brave said that was the single biggest reason, even more than Barry Bonds, that series went to the Giants.
Well, and you know, the old cliche is pitching and defense will beat offense. I mean, you need pitching and defense, especially in the playoffs, and obviously they showed that last year with Russ Ortiz.
Liam is only delighted to have him. A soft ground ball but foul by Ty Wigginton. He's hitting .271 coming in with 6 homers and 40 RBIs. They believe that Wigginton, because he is a very strong guy, plays baseball like a linebacker. They believe he'll hit more home runs, but whether it's going to be enough to have him at third base his entire career remains to be seen. Defensively, he's been a big surprise. They thought he'd commit a lot more errors. He's only made half a dozen so far, and we're almost to the All-Star break. He's 2 for 9 in the series. Popped it up on the infield. Here come Franco and Castillo, and the shortstop puts it away. So Ortiz zips through his part of the first inning, and Tom Glavine has to go back to work. Already a long day for him. After 1, Atlanta out in front of the Mets 3-0, and Russ Ortiz, a very good hitting pitcher, steps in against Tom Glavine. So no breaks for Glavine today. Ortiz, when he leads off an inning, is a .260 hitter. Pretty darn good for a pitcher. .231 overall with a homer. He looks at a strike.
Well, I think one of the big things here, too, is that, unfortunately, Glavine didn't get much rest. You know, after you have a bad inning, you'd like to maybe sit down, regroup, get your thoughts together, think about what you're going to do the next inning. Well, when you go 1, 2, 3, it doesn't happen like that.
Popped into right center, and the center fielder Timo Perez has it. Tommy Glavine wearing number 47. There's a story behind that, Gary Miller.
Dave, he wore it since the 80s with the Atlanta Braves, and when he came here, Joe McEwing had number 47, a number that means a lot to him. The trainer came up, they were at a bowling tournament for Robin Ventura, and he said, "What number you want now, Joe?" Well, he changed to 11 because that's 4 and 7 together. But Glavine felt a little bad about it, even though Joe gave it up freely. So what he's doing is outfitting the nursery for the baby that Joe and his wife are expecting on September 10th, who they'll also call Joe Dominic McEwing, do a little baby boy. And they're going to outfit the nursery for him, courtesy of the Glavines.
Isn't that a sweet story? Tommy Glavine stepping up. Those numbers mean a lot.
That's very true. It is, and there's another good 47. I'm sure the 86 Mets will remember.
Yeah, Jesse Orozco, Methuselah.
But you know what? And it's different. I've never heard of that story. I've heard of a lot of guys giving up numbers, and when they go to different teams, they've had it for so long, so the veteran gets it, or this guy doesn't want to give it up. And you hear of players maybe buying a guy a Rolex, or buying him whatever, or giving him cash for it. So that's kind of a nice little touch right there. Help out the family.
Rafael Franco walked and scored in the first inning, and 3 Braves would cross the plate on a total of 4 hits. He flies that one into left for Nitz, coming in now, and will make the catch. Kind of a gray, overcast day right now. A couple of specks of blue up there, but we're being told there is rain in the forecast, thunderstorms a little bit later today.
Number 16.
And we are hoping well after this one is concluded. Glavine trying to pull things together now. 2 quick outs in the frame, but you talked about how long Atlanta batted in the first inning and how short the at-bat was for the Mets. Marty Aronoff, our stats wizard, says that Atlanta, their time of possession was 16 minutes in the first inning, and the Mets was just 4 minutes. So there you go. 3-0 the Braves.
Well, I think that's and this is a good start, obviously, for Tom Glavine to get 2 quick outs and to keep Recall off the bases and don't have to worry about the running game there.
DeRosa flying to center his first time up. Do you ever have one of those scenarios where you needed to have a number that you've been wearing a long time and had to buy that number, so to speak?
No, actually, I was fortunate. Every place I went, whether after being traded, they didn't have a number 3, or when I went to Boston, the person I was traded for was number 3, so that opened up. So I didn't have to go ahead and get into my pocket or treat anybody. So
never real expensive.
It worked out all right.
Fastball right through there at the knees. DeRosa with 4 home runs on the year. He had the winning home run as a pinch hitter on May 1st against the Houston Astros. Braves have had a number of big walk-off home runs this year. Also has a home run off of Tommy Glavine. Seems like most of the Atlanta players in today's lineup do. Gary Sheffield on deck, and he included. Down low for ball 4. Second walk issued by Glavine today. So that keeps alive the inning. And that means Sheffield will get a chance to swing again here early in the game.
And you know, Glavine doesn't show a lot of emotion on the mound, and you saw him a little discouraged earlier in the first inning with the base hit that he made a good pitch to Sheffield on, and he got a base hit. But I think he really wanted that pitch right there because he doesn't want to have to get into the middle of this lineup again, regardless of whether there's 2 outs or not.
Sheffield singled and scored in the first. Goes after the first pitch and wraps a long foul off to the left. I was just thinking, sitting here in New York, it's a good thing, Mike, you were never dealt to the New York Yankees, because number 3 would have been unavailable. Completely unavailable.
I think their whole number system is unavailable.
Yeah, Babe Ruth, you're not going to pull away, though. There's no way that's coming out of Monument Park there.
That's not going to happen.
DeRosa running. Phillips to throw. He bounced it, and it's a stolen base for Mark DeRosa. It's not Vance Wilson behind the plate today for the New York Mets, who is an outstanding throwing catcher. Phillips is a backup guy, is their regular first baseman, and he could not get DeRosa.
Well, I think Tommy just kind of went to sleep on him, and DeRosa actually did get a big jump there. And I don't think he had a chance to throw him out. And Tommy usually is good about holding runners on. Not in that case. In this way, obviously, it gives Sheffield a chance to drive in another run.
It's DeRosa's first of the year. And the thing about Glavine this year, with runners in scoring position, he is allowing a batting average of .329. That is very unlike him.
Very unlike him. And that's usually when he is at his best. And then you would always know that in that situation when he was with the Braves, that whole staff would always tighten down, make better pitches, make better quality pitches. And so that's very uncharacteristic.
He's in front on Sheffield, 1-2, and into the dirt, scooped up nicely by Phillips. It's been a big year for Gary Sheffield. A .425 on-base percentage, 6th in the league, .610 in slugging, 4th on the senior circuit.
And he has been so consistent all year, and I think that is one of the mainstays and why you see Chipper Jones with RBIs, Andrew Jones with RBIs, Javi with RBIs, is because these guys are continually getting on base, and his on-base percentage shows that.
I found it to be true with Sheffield. It was certainly the case when he won a batting title as a younger player in his days with San Diego. When he's hot from the beginning of the year, he stays hot all year.
He's not one of those, I mean, you can call him streaky, but he's streaky good the whole year.
And streaky for 6 months.
Exactly. And I don't know how exactly you do call that. I don't know what kind of streak that is, because not too many guys are on that long of a streak.
And not too many hit line drives like that up into the green level at Shea Stadium. I hit it foul, but he just about tore a seat in half.
The thing about Gary Sheffield is his bat is so quick from the starting point when he gets ready to hit, from his trigger point to the time he goes to the ball. His bat head speed is so unbelievably quick. He hits line drives that far.
Inside for ball 4. Sheffield took it in on the hands. It's almost as if Glavine said, I won't mess with you anymore after that line drive foul. He might take the most violent swing in the game. Huh?
We talked about that, and that's one of the best words for his swing, is that it's so quick and it is so fast through the hitting zone that one of the words that comes to my mind exactly is violent. And it's a violent swing, and he's not one of the home run hitters that hits those monstrous, glorious, high fly home runs. His home runs are out of the park in a split second, and it's a different kind of home run, but it's because of his swing.
Chipper Jones takes one in there. Nope, a little bit low apparently for ball 1. 2 down and 2 on. And another look at that wicked line drive foul.
And I think as you see, well, obviously that ball's down a little bit, so he's going to have a little more of an uppercut, but his swing is more level too than a lot of home run hitters.
Reyes slides, bobbled it, throw, got him. Very close play, but he does get him at second base. Tell you what, Gary Sheffield may have been shaken up a little bit. I think he jammed his hand there. We'll see if that comes back to haunt him, but Reyes nipped him at second base. The youngster showing off his arm.
Sir, I detect the presence of alcohol. Have you been drinking this evening?
Not really.
1 or 2?
Just a few.
Step out of the car, sir.
Still attending to it. The trainer came out, took a look. He's back out there in right field. We'll see if that lingers today. You can see him They're trying to loosen it up. Jammed it pretty good on that play sliding into second base.
It looked like he kind of laid down on his right side and left his hand behind him, and might have just, when he tried to pop up, jammed it right into the ground.
Boy, with less than a week before the All-Star break, that is not something Atlanta needs to be worrying about. Got a shift on for Jeremy Burnett, mindful of the Bonds shift. He's been tearing into the ball, hitting .287 with 18 home runs. Let's go back to that play at second where Sheffield got nicked up, though.
And actually, you could see it. He drug his right hand behind him as he's sliding on his right side, and it looks like it just seemed like he just jammed it right into the ground.
The assistant trainer Jim Lovell came out to take a look. A strike on Burnett. Sheffield, of course, having a fantastic season for himself. 22 homers, a single and a walk today. 3-0 Atlanta. Scalded foul by Burnett. Even his foul balls are hit right on the button. He homered last night. He was 2 for 4 in the game, just red hot. That was his 7th home run in his last 14 games.
Well, you know what? And the key to him, and as he said today, and speaking with him, is that, you know what? I have to swing at strikes. You know, he can hit pretty much any pitch, but he is so much better when he swings at strikes, as are most players. But I think it's a glaring thing when you see that there are a lot of bad ball hitters, but when Jeremy gets those pitches that he can hit, he can do a lot of damage.
He's been healthy. He had a broken bone in his left hand, suffered because of a Billy Wagner fastball that got him in April. Late on that swing, he strikes out.
And that pitch right there is similar to what we spoke about earlier, is that this is not a pitch up in your eyes, but it looks so good, and it's at the top of the strike zone, and it's tough to catch up on. Yes, it's only 91 miles an hour, but it has a little rise to it, and it's a little more deceiving when you're down there. And if he establishes that and gets the guys to swing at it, you know, it makes it tough.
So he has struck out 2 Mets today, facing Jason Phillips here. Phillips having a very good offensive season for himself at .304, 4 homers, 19 runs batted in. He took over when Mo Vaughn blew out that knee and could no longer play first base. Going around here, sure if Mo Vaughn will ever come back. Flying into shallow right field. A fine play made by Franco in foul territory. And the old guy can still go and get it. He doesn't look like an old guy.
And he made it look so easy. He got to the ball and just kind of threw his glove out like, nah, this is nothing. He found where he was at, kind of casually threw it out there. It's an easy play, routine.
A lot of savvy in Julio Franco.
Is that what they call that?
I call that savvy.
Savvy?
When you get to that age,
okay,
which I respect tremendously, and you're still out there in uniform, swinging a bat like he can. In fantastic shape, and still able to help out the Atlanta Braves. Today getting the nod at first base. Tony Clark is for the Mets. He fouls that one away. He's hitting .225 with 10 homers.
And Tony's been swinging the bat better, and you know, after struggling last year in Boston, they weren't quite sure, you know, and he's done some things, and he's filled in at certain spots, and he's always been a threat. I mean, he's obviously he's a big guy. He's got power from both sides of the plate, and I think they've been happy with what he's been doing.
6'6", 6'7", as he hits that one hard, but on the ground to DeRosa. And for the second straight frame, it's 1-2-3, courtesy of Russ Ortiz. The right-hander trying to go to 12-4. He's ahead 3-0.
By IHOP. Try new Super Stackers at IHOP. Come hungry, leave happy.
Welcome to day game today in New York City. The Mets and the Braves wrapping up a 3-game series, and Atlanta goes for the sweep. They've won 5 in a row. And they're out in front of Tom Glavine, 3-0. He used to be one of their own, but they pounded him around in the first inning for 4 hits, 3 runs. He also walked the leadoff man, Rafael Percal. Fly ball well hit into right, but not deep enough, and Cedeno will make the catch. And coming into this inning, Tommy Glavine, in his first 2 innings, and Ortiz has also tossed 2 innings, had already thrown 30 more pitches than Ortiz had.
Oh, and that takes a toll on him, especially with him being a little bit older. You know, obviously he's going to be in great shape. He can get into the 6th, 7th inning with that many pitches, but and I think it did help. And although he did walk a couple guys in the second inning, you know, he settled down, and I think he will continually get into a little bit of a groove here.
Well, Gary Sheffield there icing that right hand that we talked about. 1995 and again in 97, he badly injured his left hand. He actually tore ligaments in his left thumb. This is the other hand bothering him. We don't know how severe it is, but obviously not severe enough that he has to leave the dugout and head back into the trainer's room.
Oh, he's laughing around in the dugout too, so I think it's just one of those things. He got banged up. Precautionary ice on there to keep the swelling down.
Javi Lopez driving in his 52nd run in the first inning on a sacrifice fly. So Javi Lopez with a batting average of .308 and 2 hits last night. He has not batted .300 since hitting .317 in 1999. But he's having that kind of a year. Friendly hop for Reyes. Right there to Clark for the second out. So Glavine trying to have his first 1-2-3 inning, and he desperately needs one, Mike.
Well, I think so. And he got himself in a little bit of trouble the second inning. He got the first 2 guys and then walked a couple guys. So I think this is actually going to be kind of the biggest bat right here as far as Tommy Glavine's pitch count and as he's concerned.
Franco with a base hit in the first inning. He takes ball 1 a little outside. I don't know what the reason is for this, but Glavine here at Shea Stadium, which has always been an excellent pitcher's park, is just 2-6. That just doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, and the part about that is that hitters and pitchers are similar in the fact that, you know what, some guys come into parks knowing that they hit the ball well at certain parks, whether they see it better. Maybe the mound's different. Maybe the batter's box is comfortable. These guys are more comfortable in certain parks than other ones, you know, and for whatever reason it may be. And maybe that's the same way it is here at Shea for Tom.
How about that ERA, Mike? 6.56 at Shea Stadium. He has not been under 500 in his home park in 13 years, since he was 5-8 in 1990. And he wasn't even shaving then. Franco reaches for the second time, and that is already 4 walks by Glavine.
And that's like we talked about. That's uncharacteristic for him, and it just causes him more problems. It gets his pitch count a little bit higher, takes a little bit away from his strength, and especially on a hot day.
Now, where the sun is suddenly out here in New York, Eddie Castilla takes one low, and this is a repeat, at least so far, of what Glavine did in the second inning. He got the first 2 men and then walked the next guy. The 64 pitches for him, hasn't struck anybody out. He hasn't allowed a hit since the first inning. But he's been out of the strike zone more often. A runner goes. That's Franco. Here's the throw by Phillips. A good tag, and he got him. Pretty good pick, too, by Jason Phillips. He put it right there. And the ageless Franco gets cut down trying to steal. But they mean to run today. They know that Vance Wilson's out of the lineup. Atlanta ahead 3-0 in the middle of the third. On to the bottom half of the third inning. Nice to have you with us. Mike Lansing, Dave O'Brien, and Gary Miller at Shea Stadium. It is 3-0 the Braves, as the Mets look for their first hit against Russ Ortiz, who has struck out 2. He set down the first 6 in succession. And now it's the bottom third of the order, Ray Sanchez. And then the wonder kid, Jose Reyes, the 20-year-old Met phenom, who has been all the talk of the Mets since they went to this youth movement over the last 6 weeks. He'll bat next, followed by Tom Glavine. Up top for a ball, and count 1-1.
And Ray Sanchez, another guy that was on the DL, or that's been hurt a little bit here with this team, and you know, they expect to move around, and now is going to play more, obviously, with Robbie Alomar gone.
He slaps a single into center field, a line drive base hit. So that'll send up Reyes, and his defense has been, everyone's raving about it, and his composure, Gary Miller. This is a guy who could become one of the best defensive shortstops in baseball very, very shortly.
Well, Dave, on June 10th, he was called up in that youth movement. It was in full swing. And then on July 1st, Roberto Alomar was traded. But in those 3 weeks they had together, Robbie gave him some very vital lessons. And Jose was telling me the biggest thing that Roberto conveyed to him was where to play various batters. So that's what he'll miss the most from his buddy in the infield now over with the White Sox.
Reyes takes one in there for a strike, scuffling at the bat. He's going through some growing pains. A 207 average with a homer and 18 runs batted in. But those 18 RBIs kind of jump out at you because that's a lot of production in a short period of time.
Well, especially if you're going to be batting in the 8-hole. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of good pitches to hit with a pitcher batting behind you. So it's one of the toughest positions to hit in is batting in the 8 spot.
Good changeup there by Ortiz, but he's driven in those 18 runs in just 22 games. With the bases loaded, he has driven in 13 runs.
That's very productive.
He's also hit a grand slam. That helps.
Yeah, that'll add them in a hurry.
In fact, that was his first major league home run. He did that in Anaheim on Father's Day. Here's the 0-2 pitch just outside. One thing about Reyes, he is up there to swing the bat. He's walked once in 23 games.
Well, that's the one thing about the young guys, you know, is that they believe that, you know what, I'm going to get to the big leagues by swinging the bat. You don't get there by walking. You know, once you get here and you've established yourself, you can be a little bit more patient, but they want to swing the bat, and you can't blame them. Once you get here, you want to stay here, and you want to prove that you can hit, and that's why they're going to swing.
Well, he hit 287 at Binghamton last year. He stole 27 bases. That was half the season there. At Single A, he hit 288, stealing 31 bases. So you do the math, that's 58 stolen bases and a total of 19 triples in one minor league season. Bounding ball and a base hit. He gets it through the hole, and that moves Sanchez up into scoring territory. 2 on against Russ Ortiz.
Well, you know what? This is also something that we talked about. The bottom guys here in the lineup, obviously, you know what, their job is to get on too for Tom Glavine now. But this is something that we talk about. We watch Ray Sanchez. You know what, there might have been a chance for him to actually go to third here. And Sheffield does have a good arm, but Sanchez can run a little bit, so it's kind of a hit and miss. You know the pitcher's going to come up, he's going to put the ball in play, he's going to try to bunch you over, so why force the issue? And most likely it's just a good play to stay there.
Tom Glavine likely to drop down to bunts with Sanchez at second and Reyes at first and nobody out. Castilla charging in, drop down the third base line, but it rolls foul. So the wheel play on. They had for call shifting over from short covering third base for a possible play there.
Well, the main thing there is, and it also becomes Tommy Glavine's responsibility. If you see that shortstop, a lot of times the manager says, you know what, go ahead and swing the bat. If you see the shortstop breaking to third base, that leaves open a huge hole, and a lot of times then, you know, it's up to the guy that's at the plate, because the Braves are basically saying, you know what, we're foregoing everything. We want to get the guy out at third.
Atlanta in front 3-0. Glavine turns to bunt, drops that one foul. And for Tom Glavine, who has been for a long time, 16, 17 years now, one of the best bunters in baseball, whether he's a pitcher or not, these first 2 efforts are decidedly mediocre.
Well, the first one wasn't bad. The thing about it is that they have to realize, and he knows, is, you know what, just get the ball in fair territory. You know, he's not trying to bunt for a base hit. A lot of guys fair or foul. Well, this one here, he just drops the barrel of the bat, kind of slaps at it, and he needs to get the barrel of the bat out in front of him a little bit more, and he just kind of dropped the barrel right there.
So now it's 0-2 on Glavine. And Ortiz delivers. He's not bunting, and he takes outside.
And that's
9 sacrifices for Tom Glavine on the year.
That's kind of interesting to see that you would let him swing the bat. Tommy has had some success in the past of hitting, but you know, if those 2 runs are just early in the game, you need to get those guys to second and third.
The 1-2 pitch. Fastball high. I know that Gary Miller was talking with Tommy Glavine before the game, and the Mets did not take hitting. They did not have batting practice. This is a very early day game after a night game. Not unusual. And he asked Tom Glavine, was he upset about that? He said, well, I hope I'm just up there bunting all day.
Well, when I went to talk to him, He was holding the bat at the time I was talking to him, and I had to tell him, hey, put that thing down.
Well, he's pretty much put it on his shoulder for these last 3 pitches. And he's taken 3 pitches outside the zone, and now it's 3-2.
Well, and as a pitcher, you can't ask for anything better right here because it's 3-2, and you know the opposing pitcher doesn't want to walk you. So if you want to get a good rip in, this might be your pitch.
Down and in for ball 4. He walked into the bases. Will be loaded for Roger Cedeno. So a chance right now for the Mets to get back into this contest against Russ Ortiz.
He knew what he was doing the whole time. Final couple bad balls. Take 4 pitches. I'm at first.
Yeah, he's really good.
And didn't have to sacrifice an out.
He had it all figured out. So they're filled up. No place to put Cedeno and nobody out. He struck out in the opening inning. 1 for 9 in the series.
Well, this is where you'd like to see Roger Cedeno be a little bit more selective. See what happens. Okay, maybe, you know what, got Ortiz out of his rhythm right here. Throws 4 balls to Tom Glavine, walks the pitcher. Now be good patient hitter and get yourself something good to hit.
Well, Leo Mazzoni marching out to the hill to chat things over with Russ Ortiz, and we have more baseball coming up on ESPN at 7 o'clock Eastern tonight. How about Los Angeles at St. Louis on ESPN 2 at 7 Eastern? It's the Boston Red Sox at Toronto. Derek Lowe on the mound for the Red Sox. He's 10-3 with an ERA of 4.50. The Red Sox 3 games behind the Yankees, and the Blue Jays are 7 games out. A big series for those 2 clubs.
And obviously Leo Mazzoni saw something too that maybe, hey, let's settle him down a little bit. Don't worry about walking the pitcher now. You can't do anything about it. Let's go after this guy.
Roger Cedeno has never hit a grand slam in his career. Looks like he took something off and it dropped in for a strike last night. Cedeno, as you look at his career bases loaded numbers, left 7 men on base in taking his 0 for 4. Ian Armando Benitez draw much of the Shea Stadium scorn here. But Cedeno looks like he's going to be here a while. He is signed through 2005. He fouled that one away, and it's 1-2.
Well, that's one of the acquisitions they made. They thought they were going to make this team a little bit better, and obviously hasn't worked out, much to the fans' dismay. And that makes it a little bit tougher on the player. But you know what? That's where you have to take it upon yourself to say, you know what? They paying me this money. I'm going to be here a few years. I need to come through and pick up my game. Don't crawl into a little hole. Time to show people what you can do.
Well, he hit into a bases loaded double play last night. He lines this one, a slicer. Here comes Chipper Jones. He makes the catch. A fine play, and no tag up by Sanchez as the throw comes in. He got to it in shallow left, but that had a chance to handcuff Chipper Jones. Of course, it's just his 2nd year in left field. He handled that like a veteran out there.
You know what? He got a great jump on this ball. It's a sinking line drive, and Cedeno did a great job. He hits the ball hard. Fields it on his glove side. He sees that he's not running, so he makes a controlled throw home. If you get a little too excited, maybe airmail the catcher there, but you know, that's just bad luck right there.
And 3 more left on for Cedeno. So it's 10 in the last 2 games. Timo Perez pops it up, but that'll make the seats.
Well, like I said, that's bad luck there. The guy hits the ball hard, hits the line drive. You can't even get a sacrifice fly out of it. You know, he did his job there, got a pitch to hit, and just couldn't get anything out of it. And that's part of the Mets' problem. You got to have some good luck sometimes.
They've had a whole lot of bad luck in 2003. Perez 0 for 1. Would not chase the high stuff. Been pretty good with the bases loaded. He has been a clutch guy for the Mets. 5 out of 11. Including a couple of triples. They'd take one of those right here. That would tie up the ball game. Flying to left center field. Andrew Jones on the move. Now into the alley to make the catch. Sanchez tagging up. He'll come on in. And the Mets finally get on the scoreboard against Russ Ortiz. Timo Perez collecting his 18th run batted in. They've not had the big hit they're looking for in this inning. And now they're 2 away for Ty Wigginton. Runners at first and second for the rookie third baseman.
And the thing that makes good teams even better are the teams that could come up with the big 2-out hit.
And especially for a rookie who is trying to prove himself against the best in the league. This is a key moment for a guy like Ty Wigginton. He hit it hard, but right at DeRosa, going after the very first pitch. So Ortiz buckles down after loading the bases with nobody out on 2 singles and a walk. He gives up just 1 run at Shea. ESPN day game. It is a Wednesday afternoon, a noontime start today. So these clubs got after it early. Certainly Atlanta did, scoring 3 times off of Tom Glavine in the first inning. The Mets have now scored off of Russ Ortiz. Vic Castilla, then Ortiz, and then Rafael Franco to battle Tom Glavine in this frame. The 37-year-old out of Concord, Massachusetts, who always should be pitching on the 4th of July. You hail from Concord, Mass. Concord or Lexington. Or Boston, for that matter. Or Philadelphia. You ought to be pitching on July 4th.
You have to pitch on July 4th.
But here on the 9th of July, and the pitch is upstairs and inside a ball, and that strike zone of Jeff Nelson has already from time to time today drawn the ire of Bobby Cox. I know that doesn't shock regular Braves viewers that Bobby might be riding the umpire a little bit, but that's something to watch here. He's been ejected 7 times, and we're not even at the All-Star break, so there's no mellowing in Bobby Cox.
It's a pretty good pace. He just isn't satisfied, that's all.
Not a big fan of Questek, I can tell you that. Nor is Tom Glavine.
Have there been very many people that are? Around the majority would say they're not.
I know that some hitters have come out and said, we're backing up the pitchers on this. We don't like some of the strike zones either, but we don't hear much from hitters about Questek.
I think, and this may be a little biased, but
little bounding ball to Sanchez. The second baseman throws out Castilla. Oh, by the way, this telecast is available on HD, our new high-definition service, which provides remarkably clear pictures in a widescreen format. HD made possible with the help of Philips and Best Buy. For more information, contact your local cable operator or satellite provider. And this tie is actually blue in HD.
Wow. It's blue in front of me, too. So at least I'm not colorblind.
Don't know what that means, but it's really blue on HD. Swing and a miss by the pitcher, Russ Ortiz.
It looks good either way.
Thanks, Mike.
But it looks better in HD.
You're my favorite new partner.
See?
Yeah.
Until your next one.
Ortiz fly to center his first time up. Rafael Franco will follow him. Atlanta trying to win their 6th in a row, so they're playing some of their best baseball right now before the break. Even if Bobby Cox isn't around to see a lot of the finales of these wins lately.
Well, you know what, and getting back to the Questek thing, I think hitters realize, you know what, I have to go to that plate every day. So they're not going to make a big stink out in public. They're not going to throw a fit. Pitchers go out there once every 5th day, you know, and they can make their little comments and maybe somebody remembers it. But I believe that the hitters probably don't like the zone either, but they realize, hey, you know what, I have to step in that batter's box 5 times a day, every day, for 6 days a week. So it doesn't really benefit them a lot to go out and make comments like that.
Sanchez slipped an awkward throw. He rolls it over to first base to get the out. That was like a 5-bounce throw to Clark at first. The first thought was he had badly turned his ankle, but apparently he's okay.
Well, once he slipped, I think the grass just gave out from under him. But once he slipped, I thought he just wanted to get rid of it, which, and to his credit, is very good. But he also maybe didn't realize that Ortiz was the guy running.
He still got Ortiz by about 2 or 3 steps. He might hear a little bit from his teammates as he gets into the dugout. Took 5 bounces to get it there.
Yeah. Feel free to run.
Franco has walked, and he's also flied out. If he reaches Mark DeRosa, will be next. With this Atlanta club that doesn't rely a whole lot as far as the guys up front getting on, because so many of them are home run hitters, but the Braves with 133 home runs, the most in the big leagues. Recall, for example, is 1 out of 11 in the series, and yet they've won the first 2 games. because Atlanta has hit 4 home runs. That's in there for a strike. Now, on Questek, Mike, I mean, you were an infielder, and you, as you say, came up to bat 4 or 5 times a game. Aren't you for anything that makes the strike zone fairer for you as a hitter and a little more uniform?
If that's the case, but I think there's still a lot of variances in umpires' decisions on where they, do they want to be with Questek? Do they want to make sure it's the right call? Or do they believe in the zone that they've had? I honestly think that there's just a lot of variances that go into all this. That there's just a human element, I think, that isn't being put into it enough. They're relying too much on this machine, or that they're being evaluated because the computer says, you know what, your zone's here and here.
But isn't that the whole point of Questek, to remove the human element and the bias an umpire brings in his own strike zone to make it fairer for every hitter?
But that's part of baseball. Baseball's played by humans. It's not played by computers. So I believe that's what needs to be done.
See where this last pitch shows up on a replay or on Questek, for that matter.
And it needs to be tightened up, yes, in some of the zones, and that ball's down. And that ball's down in the zone.
Now Sanchez, far more routine play, gets it there in the air to first base. He made all 3 plays. We've talked about Javi Lopez today and a huge turnaround that he has enjoyed this year with 23 home runs and an all-star berth. We'll look at the other guys who've turned it around when we come back. ESPN day game today in the Big Apple, and it's 3-1 Atlanta leading the Mets at Shea Stadium as Jeremy Burnitz tries to get things going against Ortiz and immediately swings at the first one, and it's a mile high but foul. Off into a high, cool wind, which is all of a sudden thundering in from the outfield. Out beyond center field at Shea Stadium. That is not great news, because that usually means there's rain behind it. That's what Mike tells me. Mike studied a lot of meteorology in his career.
Meteorology background.
Mike tells me there's a high-pressure system moving in from the Pacific Northwest, bringing with it is a ground ball to the second base side, but DeRosa there to throw out Franco. We talked about turnarounds. This is not a list of guys this season having big years off of injury years. Jeremy Burnitz is having an excellent season with 18 home runs so far. We talked about Javi Lopez. Certainly he leads the pack there with 23 home runs as opposed to 11 last year. How about Melvin Mora, 355?
And who would have thought that? I mean, he's been an outstanding player, and they've moved him around a little bit. Now he's found a home out in center field, and he's shown that, you know what, he deserves to be there every day, and he's proven that.
And we saw a couple of Colorado Rockies, Preston Wilson and Sean Chacon. Chacon was 11-4, unable to go to the All-Star game because of injury, but an outstanding young pitcher. Of course, you make your home year-round out in Denver, and I know that you've had a chance to see a lot of those two guys. Preston Wilson, big RBI season so far.
Well, I think that also, you have to take into account that the guys on in front of him are getting on a lot. When you have Larry Walker and Todd Helton around you, you're driving in a lot of runs, but he's had an outstanding year, and he's done everything they've asked him to do, and it's not just Coors Field. He's been doing it everywhere.
He has to roam one of the biggest outfields ever invented in center field on a daily basis. Jason Phillips 0 for 1. He's popped out foul to first base. 3-1 Atlanta. Foul back. I just want to see somebody hit the ball to the left side of the diamond. The last 5 outs in this game have been 4 threes, ground balls to second. And we've gotten pretty good at calling that.
Yeah, that hasn't been too difficult. And you can attribute that to a lot of the pitching is that, you know what, these guys, they're jamming these guys. They're making them stay away from pulling the ball as far as the right-handed guys. And as we see that, he hits to the left side but gets jammed.
Yep, hit it very softly. Big-time jam job, and Jason Phillips is 0 for 2. So Ortiz trying to reestablish the groove that he had when he set down the first 6 Met hitters today, including striking out Cedeno and Burnitz. He gave up back-to-back singles to Sanchez and Reyes, and then he walked Tom Glavine, who had bunted his first 2 foul. He was 0-2 in that count, and Glavine, very savvy in the batter's box, came back to draw the walk, but only 1 run scored in that inning. It's a high fastball buzzing the tower of Tony Clark, and at 6'7", you got to get it up pretty high.
That's a little higher than you would expect. At 6'7", it's tough enough to throw it up there, but to throw it over his head.
Clark with the ability to hit the ball a long way, but he goes right through that pitch. A wave and a miss, and it's 1-1.
And And that's that pitch right there that is so effective for Russ Ortiz. It's 90, 91 miles an hour, but you know what? It's the top of the zone that you just can't catch up to it. And if you do, you're not going to do a lot. We've seen a lot of foul balls off those, and you're not going to do a lot with those pitches.
Ortiz may go right back up there again, inside this time.
But he kept it at the top of that zone again, and I think that's what he does there. And he just basically does that also, see if he can give him a swing at it, and then it sets up his breaking stuff. See, he wants to throw a changeup right here.
That one laced into right, coming on Sheffield. He makes the catch. A fine sliding play. Sheffield, who was shaken up earlier, injuring his right hand, but the left is fine, and he's coming up to bat when we return along with Chipper Jones.
Make me look.
Are raised. The intensity is back. This time, it counts.
Top of the fifth inning, and on the first pitch, Mark DeRosa is retired as he pops up to Ray Sanchez. Been a very busy second baseman today. DeRosa 0 for 2, and that'll bring up Gary Sheffield. Tom Glavine allowed 3 runs to his old foe, his old teammates, I should say, now his new foe, in the very first inning. Gave up 4 hits. And since then, he is not allowed to hit Mike Lansing.
No, he's settled down, and I think he's established his strike zone where he wants to. You know what? He's gone back to the Tom Glavine of old. The fastball's away, the changeup's away. Let's show a fastball in. You know, just trying to basically keep guys off balance, and he's done that.
Sheffield with a base hit and a walk. He also slid in kind of awkwardly into second base and jammed his right hand. He seems to have rebounded from that. You look at Gary Sheffield, and he's a premier home run hitting outfielder. You forget he came up as a shortstop in the Milwaukee organization, eventually moving over to third base, which he despised.
He wasn't real fond of the infield, period.
No.
I think he's found a home in the outfield. He's done pretty well out there. You know, when we talked about him and his home run, the balls that he hit, and he hit one on the second deck out there that was foul. His swing is, and he is a home run hitter, but most of the home runners hitters today have a slight uppercut in their swing. His swing is more flat, a little more level, but he generates so much bat speed that the ball takes off and has backspin on the ball that they are just a line drive kind of home run.
Ball 4 to Sheffield. He walks for the second time. 5 free passes from Glavine. Gary Sheffield have a tremendous year, and as the All-Star game approaches, the question is, who is the National League MVP? Is it Gary Sheffield playing today in New York, or is it Albert Pujols playing tonight in St. Louis? How about Bonds or Smoltz or Gagne? Well, you can log on to ESPN.com, and that answer coming your way as the Braves and the Cubs will battle on Sunday night. That's Sunday Night Baseball at 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN from Wrigley Field.
Well, the interesting thing about that is I'm one of those guys where, you know what, the pitchers have their own award. I'm still one of those guys where, you know what, this is an everyday player's award.
So you would have crossed Smoltz and Gagne right off the list?
Yes. That's just a personal opinion, but I believe that, you know what, right now I'd have to go with Gary Sheffield. And I understand the year that Albert Pujols is having an incredible year. I just think that this guy adds so much to his team right now that he is invaluable to this team.
Chipper Jones with a pop along the right field line, and Cedeno has it to the second out. Well, let's take a look at that now. Albert Pujols hitting .368. That's tops in the National League. Sheffield is number 3 at .332. Pujols has hit 26 home runs. Gary Sheffield 22. Albert Pujols leads the pack with 81 RBIs. Sheffield is in the top 5. So statistically, Pujols has him beat in just about every category, including slugging percentage and extra base hits and several others.
Right. And the main thing to me is that the Atlanta Braves have the best team in baseball. Now, granted, he's surrounded by a lot of great players, and so is Albert Pujols. But I think you take this guy, if you take Gary Sheffield out of the lineup, this team is not as good. And I know they have, and they wouldn't be the best team in baseball. The St. Louis Cardinals would not be where they are either. I just think that he has more of an impact on this team.
Wow. I mean, Tony La Russa has said about Albert Pujols, he is the best player he has ever managed. I mean, think about some of the guys he's managed.
Those are pretty good guys that he's managed.
He's managed Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco when he was a 40-40 guy, and on and on. And Gary Sheffield having a spectacular season, no question about it. But what if Pujols wins the Triple Crown and they finish in first place?
Well, then I think now this is halfway through now, so you know my opinion and my vote can change.
Sure, well, you know you can do that, Mike. You're not stuck on this right now. Here we are on July 9th. You're fine. You can say Sheffield now, and 2 weeks from now, when Pujols has that extra home run to get him across the board in the Triple Crown, you can go ahead.
I just think from what he's done for his team, I think that he's the guy right now.
I'll tell you this, Bobby Cox would not have anybody else batting in the 3 spot for him. He adores Gary Sheffield and what he has brought to Atlanta, not only on the field but in the clubhouse. Sheffield will be a free agent at the end of the season, so the Braves have a major decision to make. He wants to stay in Atlanta.
Most guys that have gone through Atlanta and have tasted success and have tasted the playoffs or the World Series find it hard to want to leave that place.
Yeah.
When it comes right down to it, whatever the money is, great. But you know what? Every year you know you're going to go to the playoffs. That adds a lot.
Gary Sheffield facing a Tom Glavine today who left Atlanta to go to the Mets, where postseason play was by no means assured. Gary Sheffield's actually going to represent himself in contract talks. Won't that be fascinating? You talk about dollars and what they mean, and Gary's going to do a lot of homework and represent himself. He will have an advisor, but he's going to be his own #1 representative.
And that'll be interesting to see, but also, you know what, with the numbers he's put up, it's not hard to find guys that you can compare yourself to because there aren't a lot. So whatever you see as a high salary structure or the highest in the game.
Fly ball well hit deep left center. Perez with a long run. He will catch up to it in one-handed. So he retires Andrew Jones with an Andrew Jones kind of catch. Glavine getting some support defensively. 3-1 though. To be at the ballpark at Shea Stadium. A nice cooling breeze has moved in. Your score 3-1 Atlanta. Mike Lansing, Dave O'Brien, and Gary Miller with you here in New York, where the Braves are trying to sweep these Mets in a 3-game set here. Ray Sanchez with a base hit, and he has scored the only run so far today for New York. A win today, and Russ Ortiz, who is headed for his first ever All-Star appearance, he will be 12-4.
And that's exactly what they got him for. And he's definitely paid off for him. You lose a guy like Glavine and you fill it in with Ortiz.
Get the other way. A big hop for Franco for the first out. First base unassisted, 1 away in the bottom of the 5th. Steroids, amphetamines, and a lot more. For fans, the names of performance-enhancing drugs have become part of the language of sports. Winning at any cost, the drug culture in sports. That's a 1-hour Outside the Lines, exploring the root of drug use by athletes, detailing the growth and usage, and chronicles the hotly debated issue of whether certain drugs should be legal or should be banned. Outside the Lines on ESPN Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern. Jose Reyes, the 20-year-old, 1 for 1 with a base hit in the 3rd. When they called him up from the minor leagues, he was 19 years old. Just a happy teenager, delighted to be in the big leagues, but he could be up for a long time. Andrew Jones racing in to make the catch, and now the outfield, Mike, the infielders too have to make a little bit of an adjustment because that wind is starting to swirl around.
Well, used to guys, and they'll check out the flags and see what it's doing, and you know, that's just part of being a professional and understanding that that's part of the game. You've got to pay attention to the elements and what the wind is doing.
Glavine drew a walk in the 3rd inning. Pretty good battle there against Russ Ortiz. Glavine was just trying to bunt. He was attempting to sacrifice. Uncharacteristic of Tom Glavine. He fouled off the first 2. Did not look very good doing it. He fought his way back in the count and took ball 4 to load the bases. But only 1 run came of that. That's the kind of an inning that Atlanta blows the doors open on the game, but these Mets do not have that kind of firepower. Fouled off.
No, they rely on the base hits and the extra base hits. They're not going to rely on the home runs. And like you said, with Atlanta, you get the bases loaded. You get guys on second and third. They've got the guys in the line that are going to hit the 3-run homers. These guys, the Mets, are just hopefully going to scrape out one, maybe two, you know, and they only got one when the bases loaded with no outs, and that's just kind of been how their season has gone.
Tom Glavine with 248 career wins, and all but 6 of them in the uniform of the Atlanta Braves. Another foul out of play. Roger Cedeno would be the next hitter. Now the Braves have been scoring runs for Ortiz. That's a big part of his success, but Atlanta is 14-5 when Russ Ortiz takes the mound this season. So he has become the horse that Tom Glavine was for all those years, for 16 seasons.
And he's one of those guys, and I think that the players start to feel that, you know what, when this guy goes to the mound, we don't have to go and get him 5 or 6, but sometimes they do, and he gets some good run support. And it's just one of those, as a player, it's very comforting to know that that the guy that's going out on the mound is going to throw a great game for you. He's going to keep you in the game, and you don't have to score a lot of runs.
Line drive and a base hit that skips by for call. A single for Tom Glavine. That comes with 2 down. Keeps alive the inning for Roger Cedeno. Tommy Glavine with a sweet swing there. That had been 8 in a row set down by Ortiz.
Well, he'd had a couple foul balls the other way, but this time stays inside the ball, and that hard fastball puts a nice swing on it.
Now, we saw the graphic, the wins over the years for Russ Ortiz. He's won 18. He's won 17. Does it surprise you that this is the first time he's going to be an all-star this year?
Well, it's just, you know what, I think not as much, because San Francisco isn't as much a thought of being as a pitching team as Atlanta.
Right. A little pop-up there by Cedeno. 1 man left, and through 5 on what might be a stormy day at Shea. 3-1 Atlanta.
I love a good thing. Who says too much of a good thing is a bad thing? Sometimes too much of a good thing can be a great thing.
Now you can call anyone in America for 3 cents a minute and 39 cents to connect. And that 3 cents gets you Canada and Western Europe, too. Just dial 1010-987.
There's no monthly fees, so you only pay for the calls you make. Hey, you know a good thing when you see it. 1010-987. A rate this low never went so far.
Put them Big Macs up, y'all. Come on. Come on. Somebody say, you all beef patty, special sauce, let it see. Come on. Beef patty, special sauce, let it see. Pickles, onions on the second seed bun. Pickles, onions on the second seed bun. Come on. You all beef patty, special sauce, let it see. Pickles, onions on the second seed bun. And as a matter of fact, to be exact, nothing needs like a Big Mac.
You have the ultimate power to look better, to be stronger, to redefine your body and yourself. Introducing the Bowflex Ultimate. Quite possibly the best home fitness machine ever made. In as little as 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week, you can get real results that can change your entire body. With over 90 health club quality exercises and up to 410 pounds of resistance, it's like having an entire gym in your home. Bowflex is so effective that we guarantee you'll get the results you want in 6 weeks or less. Own the new Bowflex Ultimate with no money down and monthly payments lower than many health club dues. Call and ask for a free video or DVD and check out the entire Bowflex lineup or visit us on the web at BowflexUltimate.com today. The new Bowflex for ultimate results.
The Braves lead it 3-1. Top half of the 6th coming your way, and that means Javi Lopez will lead things off against Tom Glavine. So the man hitting used to catch Tom Glavine. Well, I don't think Tommy Glavine had this Javi Lopez on his side, not this good offensively, in all the years that he was pitching to Javi. Today in RBI number 52, he's 0 for 1, but 0 for no longer as he drops in a base hit, leading off the 6th. So he is aboard. That one starts the inning, but he's had a lot of big hits to finish innings as well.
When I go out bad in that particular moment, I'm thinking about nothing but to get the job done. I know I'm not a 300 hitter. I'm not a a big offensive hitter, but when I got the opportunity to drive the run in to win a game, that's the opportunity that I have to take advantage of it.
You're going to have to explain that to me, because Javi Lopez has always been noted as an offensive catcher. Came in hitting .308, 23 homers, 51 RBIs.
And the numbers kind of point that way. It's hard not to think of him as an offensive catcher with those kind of numbers. He was down a little bit last year with those numbers, but obviously he's rebounded, and it's a big year for him because his contract's up, and it's a situation where you want to prove to people that, hey, you still have it, and he's doing exactly that.
He's also doing it in a contract year. He's eligible to be a free agent at the end of the season, and the only reason, truthfully, that Javi Lopez is a Brave now is because he had a $7 million contract that had to be fulfilled this season, and they were unable to move him. And look how that turned out. 23 home runs, an all-star start, voted in by the fans. There's a drive out to right. Cedeno will not get it, and it goes over the wall for a home run. Julio Franco, his second home run of the season, and both of them have come off of Tom Glavine. 5-1 Atlanta. Just clearing the fence in right.
And that was a laser. That thing got shot out of here in a hurry. But Julio Franco has always been a great opposite field hitter. Another ball that's down out over the plate where he can get those arms extended, and he's still got great bat speed. And that's a long way out there. To hit an opposite field, to hit it over 371, that's a long way out there.
Boy, that jumped off his bat. Absolutely screamed out of here. Popped up by Vinny Castilla. Clark coming over, so is Phillips, but it's bobbled by a fan, and nothing but hugs and smiles for Julio Franco. And as mentioned, both of those taters off of Glavine.
And the thing about him is he stands far enough away from the plate, and he looks like you can throw him away. He can't cover, and guys still make the mistake, and then they catch enough of the plate, and he does damage, and he does just like that.
Glavine 0-2 against Atlanta with a high earned run average coming into today. Now he's down 5-1. He's allowed 7 home runs to the Braves in 3 starts. Ouch. That's almost as if they know what's coming.
And this may be one of those teams where, you know what, something about it just doesn't work out, and you face them every time, and you just struggle. And it just so happens to be his old team.
Oh, 2 pitch. Castilla takes a close one, but for ball 1. There's no way anyone will ever convince me it doesn't help the Atlanta Braves as far as knowing what's coming, what his tendencies are, what he likes to throw, where he likes to throw it, and they are teeing off on him. They've done it for 3 consecutive starts. Castilla with a base hit. Gary Miller surrounded by a bunch of kids here at Shea Stadium. A lot of them around on this Wednesday afternoon, Gary.
Dave, pretty much throughout the upper deck, we're here above the left field foul pole with the Summer Adventures Day Camp. They got 3 different groups of kids here from Nassau, Jericho, and Suffolk out on Long Island. Now, they can go for 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and they get, let's say if they take 8 weeks, that's 56 trips. They take a trip every day. They get 2 Met games. Is this the highlight of the day camp?
Yup.
That's all you got to say? You got this out of it, right?
Yep. I want to go to the Mets game again sometime.
How about you? What's the best trip you've taken so far?
This Mets game and First Flash, but mainly the Mets game. Mainly the Mets game.
Now, you're a veteran of these day camps, right? How does this year compare to the other years?
Each year it gets better and better. The director keeps everybody have fun. We go a lot of parks and water parks. We just travel every day.
Well, you can see them. That's all the green shirts out here. If you go across the outfield, you see all different colored shirts. And, you know, I had to sign a lot of seat cushions out here. It's seat cushion day, Dave.
Yeah.
And a lot of them had Mr. Met on as well, so I feel a little inferior. I guess they couldn't find you.
All righty. Well, a good seat, Gary. Nice job up there. Be careful coming down. Little pop foul on a play by Ortiz on his bunt attempts. Runner on at first is Vinny Castilla. 2 runs in on the home run by Julio Franco. And, you know, for me, growing up in New England, going to Red Sox games as part of day camps like that, week-long camps, those were always my greatest. Next to Split Splash, they were my greatest thrills.
Well, Split, how can you beat Split Splash?
Can't beat Split Splash. Not on a day like the way this one started, as David Weathers begins to warm up. Ortiz bunts toward first base. Well done there. Clark will tag him out. Up and into second, Vinny Castilla. So sacrifice for the pitcher. And Ortiz is doing all those things we've seen Tom Glavine do, wearing that same uniform year after year. Drops down the sacrifice bunt, gets out of a key inning, kind of wriggles off the hook, limits the damage.
Basically contribute every way you can, and successfully on the mound as well, and shutting the opposing team down.
Here comes Art Howe. He's going to take out Tom Glavine. He's going to hear it a little bit from the Shea Stadium faithful. He gives up 5 runs on 7 hits and allows his 7th home run to Atlanta this year. Weather's coming on, and we'll be back.
I'm sorry, I was driving too fast.
No, really, totally my fault.
The good thing is we're okay.
There's so many more important things in life.
If I'm not mistaken, you must be gelling like a felon.
Are you gelling yet? Dr. Scholl's massaging gel insoles are made from the softest gel ever created. If you and your shoes don't feel outrageously comfortable, you get your money back. Guaranteed.
Come on, move it!
Listen to that yelling. He's so not gelling.
Are you gelling? Dr. Scholl's.
All right, we're doing it. Come on, big money. Big money. 900. Okay. Give me an L. Yes, okay, I'll spin again. Big money, big money, big money, big money. Yes. I will buy an I. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh. Hi, hon. Real busy. Get back to the game. Woo! Big money.
New from Sony Ericsson. The most fun you can have with a phone.
Portable, powerful. The new Craftsman Clean and Carry. It's like no other pressure washer you've ever seen. Just ask Bob. Packing a Briggs & Stratton 3.75 horsepower engine, it launches 2,000 pounds per square inch. Yet it's compactly designed and easy to handle. From the deck to the truck to the siding to your garage. No job is too demanding. And when the work's all done, it's simple to store. So call for a Sears near you or go to craftsman.com. Find it on sale right now. Big power, little price. You'll even get a turbo nozzle that tackles the really nasty stuff. The Craftsman Clean and Carry. Approved by Bob. America's #1 tool brand at America's best tool store. Craftsman at Sears.
ESPN's Day Game, brought to you by 10-10-987. No commitment. It's 3 cents a minute and 39 cents to connect. 10-10-987.
Rafael Franco flies to center field. Timo Perez hustles that throw into the cutoff man, and so Vinny Castilla has to stay frozen at second. That's out number 2 for call chasing the very first pitch, and that'll bring up Mark DeRosa. Your score 5-1 Atlanta. Here in the 6th inning, the Braves have struck for another home run. Julio Franco knocking one out of the park. David Weathers comes on in relief of Tom Glavine, who went 5 1/3. Mike Lansing, he walked 5 men and didn't strike anybody out. I think you could count on one hand how many times he's done that in his career.
It just doesn't happen. Like you said, it's so uncharacteristic of him to walk that many guys, especially to not strike out guys and giving up. And how we talked about how he felt he was going to be a little more comfortable today, expected to have a good game out of him today. And like I said, you know what? This may just be one of those things that he just can't get these guys out, and they just feel comfortable. And quality pitches or not, the Braves are going to hit him.
16 earned runs in 18 2/3, 24 hits. All this against Atlanta over his 3 outings this year, 8 walks. So yeah, he might have felt comfortable today, but Atlanta felt a little more comfortable. They slap him around again. That's in there for a strike on DeRosa. He has flied out, walked, stolen the base, and popped up. Starting today at second base in front of Marcus Giles, the all-star Marcus Giles, voted in by the fans to be the starting second baseman. Rattled foul at the plate, 2-2. Gary Sheffield is up next. I think it has cooled down 12 or 14 degrees in the last half hour here at Shea Stadium.
And I'm sure it makes it a little more comfortable out on the field with that humidity. But you also hope that the rain holds off to where, especially when you're winning. Obviously, we're into the 6th inning. It would be a complete game, but you don't want to have to sit through an hour rain delay.
Yeah, it would be an official game. Fouled off by DeRosa. Atlanta, with a win today, makes it 6 in a row. The skies above Shea Stadium have darkened up a little bit as the temperatures have cooled, and we all know what that means. It's got a lot windier, too. Line drive caught out of the air by Clark, and that will retire the side. So good job by David Weathers. But Franco took Tommy Glavine out of the ballpark for a 2-run homer, and that makes it 5-1 the Braves here on ESPN Day Game. Play here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Timo Perez leading things off against Russ Ortiz. Atlanta again getting good pitching. I know you've heard this before. Oh, you've heard it for like 11 or 12 years. Today, Russ Ortiz tossing a 3-hitter against the New York Mets. He backs Perez off the plate. Timo on the day, 0 for 1 with a sacrifice that drove in the Mets' only run. That plated Ray Sanchez in the 3rd inning.
The thing about the Braves is, you know what? You talk about rebuilding. Well, they just retool. And they restock.
That should be an extra base hit. Sliced down into the corner. Timo heading into second. Chipper might make it close, though. Pretty good throw. The tag not in time. An outstanding throw by Chipper Jones. He looks like he's been playing left field for about 10 years.
I was just going to say, how long has he been out there now? I mean, that's a good play to go up there, brace yourself against the wall, make a backhanded play. And that's a nice piece of hitting there. But this is quite a play right here. You stop the ball, put it up against the wall, make a one-step throw, and right on the bag. And that takes some work. So you have to give Chipper credit. That takes some work to get used to doing things like that.
Well, an outstanding athlete. Chipper Jones started his professional career as a shortstop. Then he moved to third, now left field. He's been superb everywhere he's played. He also made a nice catch on a sinking line drive down around his knees today.
And basically, you know what they say is that most of the time the shortstops are usually the best athletes on the team. And whether they've moved around or not, but you look for athletes, and most of the time you'll find them at shortstop.
Line drive, Chipper coming in again to make the catch. Ty Wigginton, who is a converted shortstop in his own right, moving over to third base. The rookie lines out, although he tagged that one away.
And I bet at some point you could ask a lot of guys on the field and say, hey, you know what? Where did you used to play? Oh, I used to play shortstop, whether it was high school, college, and then at some point you have to move because someone else is there. But most of the athletes you find have been at shortstop at some point in their careers.
And of course, all the really great athletes in high school, they all pitched as well. Had to be the #1 pitcher.
Right. Just do it all.
Here's Burnitz up and in ball 1.
And hit about 500 in high school probably, too.
Yeah, with 1 million home runs. If you're Gary Sheffield, it starts when you're in Little League down in Florida, and you go to the Little League World Series. Starting real young. Burnitz is 0 for 2. He has struck out and grounded to second. On the inside edge for a strike. That fastball at 90 in a tough spot to see it. They're shifting on Burnitz again. Although he's done a lot of good hitting pulling pitches this year. Obviously, he's hit 18 home runs. He's worked very hard at going to the opposite field. He's had a lot of success this year. And in tight.
And I think you can see that in the average. I mean, when you're hitting 215 or so the year before, you're probably trying to pull every single pitch. And when they're playing the shift on you, you've got 3 guys to defend you. Well, when you begin to hit and you're hitting 287, you're doing something right. You're probably spraying the ball around a little bit more.
In fact, he has a grand slam this year, and it came against Russ Ortiz that was in Atlanta, and he hit that one to left center field. Now the count 2-2, though. And down a runner on at second.
Excuse me, and he definitely has power to all sorts, all the field. I think the reason they put the shift on in the infield is basically because most of his ground balls will be to the right side.
So only Castillo on the left to second, and it's popped up sky high into those gray clouds. Lopez is going to be fighting the wind a little bit, and it carries it right to the dugout area. And a nice play made by that youngster. Brought a glove to the ballpark, and he used it.
That was a very nice play.
Burnett with 18 homers and a grand slam, as mentioned, against Ortiz. That was on May 23rd. You see this one flying to left.
And he is basically considered what you would call a fly ball hitter. And so when he does hit the ground ball, it will be to the right side. That's why they put the 3 guys over there. But most of his fly balls, you don't see any kind of big shift in the outfield because he will hit the ball to left center in the air.
19 home runs all last year already with 18, and that one skied again foul. The wind is blowing in pretty briskly now from center field toward home plate.
And Jeremy's one of those guys where he had a down year. You know, he came over here after having a lot of expectations, had a down year last year, but has responded well this year. And I think that just says a lot about the person inside and what kind of a person you are and how much pride you take in your abilities.
Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. 2 gone.
Number 23.
We've talked about his high fastball, but also I'll tell you, he will throw that fastball down in the zone too. He doesn't just leave it always in one spot. That's what makes him so effective, is that he will elevate that pitch in different areas.
Well, that one he kept downstairs, and he fans Burnett for the second time. Quiet day. Really the one Met who is swinging a very good bat. The runner goes on a swing and a miss, and nobody covering at third base. And so Timo Perez waltzes in there. Castilla backed up way behind third base. They just let him have it.
Well, you can see how deep Vinny is on the monitor right there. It's just, he's so deep that I don't think they're even concerned about it. A single's probably going to score him anyway. Hey, protect against maybe a double or an extra base hit down the line.
They will not award him a stolen base. That'll be defensive indifference. I should say so. That was as indifferent as I've ever seen a third baseman.
I don't think anybody even cared. They didn't even notice he was going. Vinny was standing right there on the grass and didn't move.
So no stolen base awarded. But Jason Phillips will get an RBI should he get a base hit here. He racks that one foul. 5-1 Atlanta in the 6th inning. Tom Glavine has been knocked out again by his former team. That just might be a mental block that, as tough as Tommy Glavine is mentally, and he is right up there with any pitcher who's ever pitched in the big leagues in that category, he just might not be able to get around it. Having worn that uniform for so long and played with so many of these guys on the field, then trying to beat them. And today it went poorly again for Glavine.
Well, in the open, Gary Miller talked with him about, you know, will it be a good decision or not? Well, Tommy admitted, he says, you know what, ask me in 4 years. Right now, who knows? You know, right now this is the right decision for him to be here. And next year or later in the year or 2 years from now, maybe he doesn't have that same problem with the Braves.
1-2 pitch into the dirt, stopped by Javi Lopez. That runner holding at third base, Timo Perez. Just 4 hits for the Mets off of Ortiz so far. Right-hander ready in his 2-2. Good fastball again to strike out Phillips. So he gets Burnett and Phillips, 2 guys swinging good bats. They gave Timo Perez third base. They gave it to him for a reason. He wasn't going to score anyway. 5-1 Atlanta. Started ball 1 on Gary Sheffield, who has not made an out. He has singled. He's also drawn a pair of walks. The fastball inside makes it 2-0. After Sheffield, Chipper Jones, then Andrew Jones, and then Javi Lopez. And Atlanta's home run bats just keep coming at you in waves. That's a strike. 2-1.
And that's what makes it so difficult about this lineup now, is that they are all home run hitters per se, but you get by one, then you have to worry about the next one. Then you get by that one. I mean, it just keeps coming, and there's no break in the action for the pitcher.
2-2. Sheffield, of course, with a trademark wag of the bat, tilting it at the pitcher, almost points the head of that bat right at the mound. He told me a couple of years ago he was going to stop doing that in spring training. He takes strike 3. Obviously, he did not. It's a part of him. Gary Miller standing by with the gentleman who tossed out the very first pitch today. Special guest of the Mets, Sergeant Edward Chin. Gary?
Thanks a lot, Dave. Yeah, on April 9th, he was in Baghdad, came back to the States on May 29th, and people around the world remember what Sergeant Edward Chin did in Baghdad. The toppling of Saddam Hussein's statue, the toppling of the Iraqi government. He's the man that put the flag over his head. And today, some of the fringe benefits of that. Everybody got to throw out the first pitch. He posed for pictures with the likes of Jay Bell. What was it like out there today on the mound?
Oh, it was fantastic. It's great to get this opportunity to participate in a game and throw out first pitch. I think it's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
When you made that incredible moment there, putting the flag over the Saddam statue's head, did you have any idea what would become of it in terms of a worldwide event?
I had no idea at all. I mean, I was just up there doing my job, and maybe sometimes good things happen to those who do good, I guess. So,
what's the best fringe benefit since your return?
Just being able to be with my family and move on with the rest of my life. Looking back on, being able to have been a part of the war and helping Iraqi people, helping liberate the country. And of course, things like doing an opening pitch for the Mets. I mean, I watched the Mets since I was 7 years old, and I never thought that I'd be in a position like this. But it's been great.
You're from Brooklyn. Mets fan, Yankee fan? Come on, be honest.
Hometown fan. I just want to see New York win. Knicks, Mets, Yankees, Giants, Jets, everybody. I love them all.
Is he an Army guy or a diplomat? Back to you, Dave.
He's a Yankee fan. That's what he is. That's what they say when they're in Shea Stadium and they throw out the first pitch. And you ask him that question. Very nicely done, Gary, and our thanks to Sergeant Chin. Very humble man, obviously, filled with humility, and our thanks on behalf of all of us for what you have done, Sergeant. And great to have you with us today. Andrew Jones has singled. He's also flied out to right and center. Base is empty, 2 down as Sheffield and Jones, that's Chipper Jones, have each struck out. So David Weathers going right after them here in the 7th.
I was thinking that probably is the easiest thing he's had to do, is stand in front of 20, 30,000 people and throw out a first pitch compared to what he has gone through in the last 4 or 5 months.
I love that comment. We said, no, I didn't think it was anything special. I was just doing my job. Yeah, with bullets and missiles and everything flying by him. I mean, it's incredible. And welcome back. Cut on and miss for strike 3. Andrew Jones fans, and that means David Weathers strikes out the big 3. Sheffield, Chipper, and Andrew in succession. A rare highlight today for the New York Mets.
As preservationists, Jane and Roger spend every day saving tyres. Their secret? Slime tyre sealant. It's fast, safe, and the results? They're simply amazing. Imagine a world without black. Slime your tyres.
And in other news, the $300 million lottery winner has yet to come forward and claim their prize.
$300 million? What are these people thinking?
I have no idea.
Jim, where would you spend $300 million?
Well, I'd move someplace cooler. It is a scorcher out there.
Should really go collect that money.
This telecast is available on ESPN HD, our new high-definition service, which provides remarkably clear pictures in a widescreen format. ESPN HD made possible with the help of Philips and Best Buy. For more information, contact your local cable operator or satellite provider. Back at Shea, 5-1 Atlanta, and more baseball on the way tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. How about the Dodgers taking on those front-running St. Louis Cardinals? And on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock Eastern, it's the Red Sox at Toronto. That'll be Derek Lowe trying to go to 11-3 for Boston. They're 3 games behind the Yankees in the American League East, having just split that series over in the Bronx with the Yankees. A blustery afternoon, but it's cooled off considerably. It was about 90 degrees and very muggy when this ball game started. Atlanta got 3 right away against Tom Glavine, who has been knocked out of the ball game after 5 1/3 innings. Russ Ortiz has been very strong, and defensively, he's had some help here today.
Yeah, he has. You know what? And that helps the pitcher out, his confidence right here. It's a great play. Chipper got a great jump. Holds the guy to third, makes a controlled throw home. Holds a run right there. Next up, you have Gary Sheffield. He's going to come in on a sinking line drive. Slides, makes a nice catch. You know what? And that just builds the pitcher's confidence. I mean, he already has enough confidence in the way he's throwing. He's been successful, but when your defense behind you is playing well, you're not too worried about when the ball gets hit because those guys are going to make the plays behind you anyway.
Ortiz has also stayed away from walks. He's walked only one man. Oddly enough, that was Tom Glavine in the third inning. The walks have been a real issue for Ortiz throughout his career. Twice he has walked over 100 batters in a season. 2 other times 90 plus. But when he's around the strike zone, and especially when he can elevate and get that high fastball, get them chasing that, he's deadly.
He is, and I think the only time he was in trouble was when he walked Tom Glavine. He gave up his only run that inning, and walks will kill you, they say, and it only cost him 1 that inning because Chipper did make that nice defensive play. But as long as he is around the zone, like you said, elevates the fastball, works his breaking stuff, his changeup, and then keeps that sinking fastball down. I mean, he's very tough to hit. And that's why he's 11-4.
Pitching coaches like Leo Mazzoni say, yep, the walks will kill you. There's no defense for the base on balls. And also, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Not today to Russ Ortiz, he hasn't had to say that.
I got to believe pitching coaches love these kind of days. The guy's got a 5-1 run lead. He's still going after guys. He's not nibbling around. And Ortiz is the kind of guy that nibbles anyway. He goes after guys in any situation. But this makes his job a lot easier.
He says yes to Lopez. Tony Clark 0 for 2 off the corner. So far, a pretty free and easy day for the big right-hander for the Atlanta Braves, the former San Francisco Giants. He's thrown 62 strikes and 30 outside the strike zone. So an excellent differential there. Up top for a ball on Clark, though, and he's gone to 3-2.
And you'd love to see pitchers with that 2-to-1 ratio. You know, you're not going to get in too much trouble if you have that kind of ratio, and he obviously has.
He's been able to zip along against the lineup without a whole lot of firepower. Payoff pitch, ripped deep to right field. There's some power. Sheffield back, gets off the fence, and it bounces to center. Andrew Jones has it. Clark has to hustle. He dives headlong in with a double. So Tony Clark reaching Russ Ortiz for a 2-base hit off the base of the right field fence.
This is a pitch that's just up in the zone, and that's not one of his higher strike zone. I mean, strike pitches. That is in the hitting zone, and Tony Clark got a good job of extending his arms there. And he's a big enough and strong enough guy to hit it that far. But Russ Ortiz in that situation, knowing that he's still got a 5-1 lead, he's going to go after these guys, and if that happens, that happens.
Foul back. Right over our heads. Mike, were you going to make the play?
It hit the ledge.
Yeah.
I had my hands up. Why are you ducking?
I'm under the table,
You were ducking.
I'm under the table.
You're ducking, and my hands are up to catch it, and it hits the ledge.
I'm not
right
ruffling this shirt today, I'll tell you that.
Oh, it's the shirt.
Man has to take care of his wardrobe. No way was I getting in front of that one. You were going to make the play, though, weren't you? Sanchez hits that one toward the middle. Clark will move up. Nice play by Franco. Off balance to throw and get him. And Clark moves up 90 feet.
That's a tough play, especially when a guy gets jammed like that. It takes something off on the ball and then hits the pitcher's mound. It takes a funny hop right here, and he nice soft hand, has a little trouble getting it out, but with his arm, it's not going to matter. And that's a tough play. You're on the move. It's going to come off that grass. The first hop on that dirt. It's going to take a funny hop off that dirt. Stayed with it nicely and makes the out.
Here's Reyes fouling that one right back to the screen for a strike. He has singled and also popped out to Andrew Jones in center. So batting average of .214. Be interesting to see if the Mets decide to allow Reyes to play his entire first season in the big leagues or send him back to the minor leagues at some point, maybe for a little more seasoning. They believe that defensively he's going to be as good as there is in Major League Baseball. With men in scoring position, he's been very good, a .381 average. So that throws another something extra into the mix when they size him up.
Well, I think that kind of tells you something, too. And when you get rid of Roberto Alomar, what they think of him.
Well, he's continuing to do good work with men on. Here comes Clark on the flyout. So the sacrifice scores Tony Clark. RBI 19 for the 20-year-old Reyes, and it's a 5-2 game.
And not that he's replacing Roberto Alomar, but when you get rid of a guy like Roberto Alomar, you move Ray Sanchez over from shortstop, possibly playing shortstop more to second base. That obviously opens up Reyes to play every day.
Well, they knew Reyes was going to be a star when he was about 15, 16 years old, but he was named the MVP of the Futures All-Star Game in Milwaukee last year. In that game, he had a 3-run game-winning triple. He was around the bases in just a few seconds, flying into third, and they were oohing and eyeing at Miller Park there in Milwaukee. Tremendous speed. Raul Gonzalez to hit in the 9 slot in a pinch hit effort here, and he takes low for ball 1.
Well, it's so funny because you get those guys that have the can't miss tag on them, and then some that are you don't quite know. And then there's the other ones that are no prospect at all. And the funny thing is, you never know what's going to happen.
Well, you know that from experience.
Yeah, I had the guy that was, well, he's okay, but he's not going to amount to much. 10 years later, hey,
still in the bigs.
You never know what's going to happen. It's what I say, and I've seen a lot of those guys that have that can't miss tag on them, and for whatever reason, they're maybe not mentally strong enough. Physically, things happen to them, whether they get injured or just don't develop the way they thought they were going to.
I think what you said, from the chin up, is such an unknown, especially for a young guy like this coming to New York, of all places. Alomar could not handle New York. Roberto Alomar, who I still believe is a first ballot Hall of Famer, even with the struggles he had and how unpopular he was as a Met. He couldn't handle it here. He was too sensitive to it. They believe, and Jim Duquette, who's the general manager of the Mets right now, the interim GM, he says that this kid's mental makeup is as impressive as his physical.
Well, and I believe that is such a big part of this game.
If you're going to play here,
it's 90% mental. I mean, when you get to this level, all these guys have a lot of the same athletic ability.
Andrew Jones with a catch, and the side is retired. A run in for the Mets, so they've tightened up a little bit. Atlanta with a 5-2 advantage. We go to the 8th inning at Shea Stadium.
With Club Ramada's twice as nice promotion, you earn free nights and miles at the same time. So check in and take off. Club Ramada's twice as nice. One more reason. No, make that 2. Why Ramada's a very good place to be.
All spring you work to get your lawn thick and green, and then along comes summer and the brown patches. Hi, I'm Ashton Ritchie with the Scotts Company. Don't just blame the summer heat. It's also insects, bugs you can't even see, eating your lawn alive. The solution? Scotts Turf Photo with Summer Guard. It eliminates lawn-damaging insects. Plus, it greens up your lawn with a special summer fertilizer made for even the hottest months. Scotts Turf Photo with Summer Guard. Put it down this weekend for your best summer lawn ever. Guaranteed.
It's 100% hard, baby, all day, every day. You can't just talk about it, you got to be about it. Because when it's go time, it's show time. Believe that.
Terry's got his scrimmage on. Do you? Preparing for January 2004.
I'm sorry, I was driving too fast. No, really, totally my fault.
The good thing is we're okay. There's so many more important things in life.
If I'm not mistaken, you must be gelling like a felon.
Are you gelling yet? Dr. Scholl's massaging gel insoles are made from the softest gel ever created. If you and your shoes don't feel outrageously comfortable, you get your money back. Guaranteed.
Come on, move it!
Listen to that yelling. He's so not gelling.
Are you gelling? Dr. Scholl's.
From producer Jerry Bruckheimer and director Gore Verbinski.
Here they come.
Johnny Depp, Jeffrey Rush, Orlando Bloom in the summer's best movie, Pirates of the Caribbean, rated PG-13, now playing.
What you save on Ramada's weekend rate? Spend on film. Book your own getaway at Ramada.com. Ramada, a very good place to be.
We are headed to the top half of the 8th inning, 5-2 Atlanta. They've been in control of this one on ESPN Day Game. And here comes Jaime Cerda, the little left-hander out of Fresno, California. He delivers the first one high to Javi Lopez, who singled his last at-bat. Dave Weathers struck out the side in the 7th inning, and that was before the rain started to fall. But here it comes. Ground ball up the middle. Backhanded by Sanchez. Very smooth effort to retire Javi Lopez. One away. Tom Glavine started today for the New York Mets, lasted 5 1/3. He'll take the loss if the Mets can't recover. Here are the numbers on Jaime Cerda, making his 17th appearance. And you can see he's walked a lot of guys, 13 men and 19 in the 3rd inning.
And that's going to cause problems, and that's obviously why you see a higher ERA. You start walking guys and then giving up runs, and giving up hits. It's not real conducive to a good ERA.
Cerda, another young Met. They have a lot of them playing right now. He's 24 years old. Young is not a term we've used to describe Julio Franco for a long, long time, but an experienced professional hitter certainly fits. A single, a walk, and a 2-run homer today. A screaming line drive the other way over the right field fence in the 6th inning. He taps a foul. It's 0-2. His base hit in the 1st inning, which was part of a long inning for Tommy Glavine. That single the other way. A walk in the 3rd, and then a home run also to right field.
Those pitches are both out over the plate where he can get his arms extended, where he loves it, and it's almost like he sets pitchers up to throw the ball out there so he can do that and take a pretty good rip at something like that right there.
A lot of rain gear all of a sudden here, Shea. A lot of umbrellas popping out around the ballpark. Right now, kind of a gentle summer rain, but thunderstorms anticipated in the area possibly. Just a little bit low.
It's like he turns a little changeup over there, and it's just off the plate. And Jeff Nelson didn't believe that was a strike.
The 80-mile-an-hour change. That's into the dirt. 5 runs, 7 hits for the Braves. Franco's home run, the only one they've had today, but Atlanta's hit more home runs than any team in the big leagues. They have 134 of them. Showering home runs on opponents since opening day.
Wasn't that quite easy? Nice.
Another shot out to center field. Timo Perez will haul this one in no. And Franco is retired for the first time today. Well, you, the fan, can vote right now on who should win in SB. Polls are open. Log on to ESPN.com. The keyword is SB. And the nominees for Best Major League Player are Barry Bonds, Randy Johnson, Alex Rodriguez, Miguel Tejada, and Barry Zito. The ESPY's live on Wednesday, July 16th at 9 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Vinny Castilla takes low. Have you been to the ESPYs, Mike? Have you been invited?
I have not.
You've not been
yet. And I was going to ask you if you were going to go, but you'll be in Chicago.
I'll be in Chicago, but I can set you up for something at the ESPYs if you like.
I'm okay.
You're all set? You got connections? Okay.
Well, I don't know that I have connections, but I think I'll be all right if I miss it.
Anytime you need anything, just let me know.
Okay.
You know, ESPYs or Country Music Awards or the Oscars.
Well, now we can talk. All right. Now we can talk. Let's talk about Country Music Awards
the country
and all
music
that.
got your attention, yeah.
Okay.
Little Hank Williams Jr. fan over there, maybe a George Strait man.
Yep. We can talk now. If you give me tickets there.
We'll talk after the break. In the meantime, the rain continues to fall at Shea. Certainly not a dousing heavy rain, and they're going to continue to play through it as long as they can. Vinny Castilla today, 1 for 3, a base hit in the 6th. Last night a homer, 3 RBIs, so he's had a pretty good series. All of last season he hit 12 home runs. He's already topped that.
And he's steady as ever at third base. And I think that's why they got him in the first place, was to solidify that position over there, and he's done nothing but support the reason that they got him.
He's still certainly a top 5 defensive third baseman in the National League.
Oh, I definitely believe so. He's not as 40 home run, 120 RBI guy that he was when he was in Colorado, but he's still producing, and obviously he's producing this year for him, and at the bottom of the lineup, which is difficult to do.
Reyes hoovers that one up right on the money, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. So Serta zips through the eighth to go to the bottom half. On a rainy day at Shea, it's 5-2 Atlanta. And it's Timo Perez and Ty Wigginton all up against Russ Ortiz, who's allowed just 5 hits today. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's a little bit low. A win today, and Ortiz improves to 12-4. He is on his way to the All-Star game. And he could very well be chosen as the starter.
I was going to say, he's pretty much set himself up to be the starter with the most wins in the league, but also not being pitched, and he'll be rested.
4 days rest.
Exactly.
4 or 5 days.
Could probably go 2-3 innings.
Mm-hmm. 1-2. Base hit through the hole for Cedeno. So he's aboard for the first time. And right now it is not raining hard enough here at Shea Stadium in Flushing for the umpires to suspend play. And I can tell you this, planes are still arriving at nearby LaGuardia Airport.
Well, and the good thing is also that, you know what, it's getaway day for both teams, the umpires. They don't want to have to hold the game up any longer than than they would have to.
Absolutely.
And they're probably not going to try to pull the tarp unless they absolutely have to.
Here's Timo Perez. He doubled his last trip in the 6th inning. The Mets are going to stay right here, and they're going to host the Philadelphia Phillies. The Braves have to head to Chicago. And a 4-game series against the Cubs, the last series before the All-Star break.
That'll be a big series for the Cubs, too, I think, right there. Fighting to stay up top of that Central Division. Going to get the best team in baseball.
And the Cubs right now 1 game out. As that one spanked through the hole for a single. Cedeno moves up 90 feet as Sheffield charged it. So the Mets thinking about a comeback here. They're not worried about the rain. They're trying to dig into Russ Ortiz finally. Back-to-back singles to begin the bottom of the 8th. They're down 3.
Well, you kind of wonder how much time they give Russ Ortiz. How much do they allow him to throw before they want to really bring somebody else in?
Well, look how much better Atlanta's starters have been in this series. Allowing 6 earned runs, 16 by the Mets starters. Bobby Cox getting his bullpen going. That means John Smoltz can't be too far away. Picked up a save last night, number 33 for John Smoltz.
Set for record year with saves.
Could be. Here's Ty Wigginton, 0 for 3. Across for strike 1. Wigginton leads just about every category as far as offense for National League rookies. And in any other season without Dontrell Willis, he would be the leading Rookie of the Year candidate in the National League. And now it is really starting to rain hard. Popped up, but it's gotten windy. Is there room for Franco? Javi Lopez there, and Franco makes a fine play. Races it back to the infield. The runners hold. Out number 1. Quiet day for Ty Wigginton, and here's Tim Cheetah now making the call to tarp that field. With 1 down in the bottom of the 8th inning here at Shea Stadium in New York, here comes the grounds crew. They will untarp the tarp and put that over the field, and we are in a rain delay, folks, here at Shea. Well, all of a sudden the skies opened up, and you knew that Tim and the umpires were going to try and play through it. But then all of a sudden, here it came. We've kind of been waiting for it all day long.
Yep.
We've been waiting for this sight and hoping against hope. Oh, that's one of the saddest sights in baseball.
Isn't it, though? Especially in the 8th inning.
5-2 your score. Atlanta in the lead in the 8th inning, but we have a rain delay, and we'll be back in a moment. showers. They've been approaching all afternoon. Your score, Atlanta 5 and the Mets 2, as the Braves look for a 3-game sweep here. But we have a rain delay. So for now, we send it to the 1998 Home Run Derby from the All-Star Game in Denver, Colorado. Two-run shot to help the Braves to a 5-2 lead. We're going to resume baseball shortly at 3:20. Right now, it's back to Denver and Chris Berman and Home Run Derby from '98. Welcome back to the 5-2 the Braves, and we are going to resume this game in just about a minute or so. Each side with 7 hits, and that's Jeremy Burnett's getting ready in the on-deck circle. He's gone 0 for 3 today with a couple of strikeouts, but when the Mets come onto the field and they are in the batter's box and have 2 men on, they will have runners at first and second. So we'll be back to Shea Stadium as the rest of the Braves are now taking the field in just a moment for the resumption of ESPN Day Game from Shea.
Wonderful. Okay, keep me in the loop.
Yellow book.
Again.
I told. Chocolatey taste of a Kit Kat.
Plug the new Game Boy player into your Nintendo GameCube and play your favorite Game Boy games on the big screen, only for Nintendo GameCube.
Mikey has really pitched well for Bobby Cox.
Well, it's been a big success for them, and you can see that with that ERA, keeping it down there, and he's sucked up some innings for him, and that's a big deal.
He's looking for a dry rosin bag. That's all he needs now. They had the old one out there, the one that got soaked. So here comes a fresh one for Ray King. Really need that now. Now's the time you need the rosin bag to be dry.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be a little slick. And here comes Burnett's 18 homers, but 0 for 3 today. Of course, he has the ability to knock one out right here and tie it. 5-2 the Braves, and we're ready for the restart. Cut on and missed. I think Burnett's was ready to go, but right through the fastball, and it's 0-1. The rain delay 44 minutes here in New York. But it is dry, still breezy. It's cooled off about 15 degrees from where it was before the rain started to move in. Outside, the runners on. Roger Cedeno at second base and Timo Perez at first base. They both singled before Ty Wigginton popped up into the raindrops right before Tim Cheetah, the crew chief, and the third base umpire suspended play. 5 runs, 7 hits for Atlanta. 5 runs, 2 runs and 7 hits. There's a line drive base hit. That will scoot on into right field and bring on Cedeno. Timo Perez into third base. So an RBI single for Jeremy Burnett. Give him 44 RBIs. And it's a 5-3 game.
And I was just about to say, you know what, sometimes this is a difficult situation for that first guy to come up, but he got his pitch out over the plate. Got his arms just in and got him by DeRosa there, but it's a tough time. Sometimes it's tough to come out of a rain delay, be that first guy, and it's in a meaningful situation.
So King faces one batter, gives up the hit. Grabowski comes out of the bullpen. Still no Smoltz yet. 5-3. We'll return in just a moment. Could not do the job as he gave up the base hit to Jeremy Burnett to drive in Roger Cedeno. That makes it a 2-run game here. And after a 44-minute rain delay and the ineffectiveness of King, they turn things over to the right-hander Kevin Grabowski. And he's going to be squaring off against Jason Phillips in just a moment. Bobby Cox not shy about using this guy at all. This will be his 41st appearance. Not a whole lot of strikeouts and a .514 earned run average. Bobby Cox turning to Grabowski because he's a ground ball pitcher, and he'd love a double play to get out of this inning.
I think, like we said, too, you know what? Any means necessary, any way necessary to get to John Smoltz. And I don't think he cares right-handed, left-handed. Obviously, you're going with the right-handed matchup here, but Tony Clark's a switch hitter on deck, but they want to get to that 9th inning.
Atlanta trying to sweep the series. Here's Phillips, and he fouls one away for strike one. Jason Phillips has popped up. He's also lined out to third and struck out. Now, that base hit moments ago by Burnett was the only hit today by the 3, 4, and 5 heart of the order. The heart of the order for New York.
It's tough to score runs when that part of your lineup's not producing.
Well, they have 3 on the board. They've actually out-hit Atlanta 8-7 now. He has stranded 34 out of 40, 85% of inherited runners, and he inherits 2 on the corners. On the infield, DeRosa to Franco. That's 1. Double play. Bobby Cox made the move that works. Grabowski gets the twin killing, and they're out of the inning. It's a 2-run game at Shea Stadium. In Atlanta with a 5-3 lead over the New York Mets. 3 runs quickly for the Braves in the very first inning. They're hanging on now. On ESPN at 7 o'clock tonight, more baseball. The Dodgers are at St. Louis. And on ESPN 2 at 7, the Red Sox travel to Toronto. Derek Lowe. At the end of the night, he'll be 11-3 if he gets the win. Those 2 teams in the hunt behind the Yankees in the American League East. Boston 3 back. The Jays are 7 behind the New York Yankees. Guess who's coming to dinner, or at least who's warming up? John Smoltz.
Well, they've got to the 9th now, so unless they add some runs on here, I think we'll probably end up seeing him.
I think it's a pretty good bet. Here's Marcus Giles hitting .290, the all-star second baseman for the Braves. Voted in by the fans. 8 home runs. He did not start today as he pinch hits and fouls one away. Giles last night was 3 for 4. He has 5 hits in the series, although he did come in slumping with a .232 batting average since June. He came into the series cold, but he's eaten up again. That's a strike. Jaime Cerda on the mound. He was on before the rain delay, which lasted 44 minutes. That's a ball on the count 1-2. 30,308. The attendance at Shea today, but it's thinned out considerably. Sock to right, down the line, a long run for Cedeno, and that's a fair ball. It skips up into the fence, and that'll be 2 for Giles. So he comes off the bench and stays hot.
Well, that's a great piece of hitting. The ball's out over the plate, even off the plate a little bit, but up in a good hitting zone, and he just goes right with the pitch, and he's got enough power. Not a big home run hitter, but he's got enough power that he can drive the ball out that way.
That's a lot of doubles, 29 doubles.
That's a great amount of doubles this early in the year, this halfway through the year.
So here's Rafael Franco showing bunt and taking a ball. They charge in on the corners. That's Clark and Wigginton. In the outfield, it's Burnett, Perez, and Cedeno. No Cliff Floyd, who is out for 3 or 4 days after aggravating a wrist. He's also had an Achilles problem all season long that slowed him up. A lunging little tapper to Reyes, and he gets Rafael Franco. So 1 down. And this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without written consent. Hey, look for this burst on specially marked boxes of 2003 Major League Baseball trading cards. MLB has the widest selection of items for the team you love.
You know, Dave, I'm a little surprised that he didn't bunt him over there. I mean, I understand you're up 5-3, but why not take that extra insurance run and kind of get your guys up?
Yeah, he showed bunt first, but then he was swinging away.
As you watched him, he looked down at the third base coach, and there were no signs given. So maybe he just gave him free. Hey, we already have him in scoring position. Go ahead and just see if you can knock him in.
Been a pretty quiet day for Bobby Cox, certainly by Bobby standards, huh?
Yeah.
Down into the dirt for a ball. When you think of Bobby Cox, all the wins and the 11 consecutive trips to the playoffs and the World Series and all he's accomplished, you're looking at a Hall of Fame manager, right?
You got to. You got to believe that's the case.
He's headed to Cooperstown when he finally does.
You sure would think so. I mean, with the numbers that he's put up and the playoff appearances, the World Series, I mean, he's had a lot of success. And he's struggled at other places, but I'll tell you what, he's been here now. He's been a fixture in Atlanta for so long, and all they do is win.
Well, he may be the lion in winter, but if this is the tail end of his career, he's going out roaring. No real talk of Bobby retiring, as the Braves have the best record in baseball today. Swing and a miss by DeRosa. He strikes out. Serta blew him away with some high heat at 89 miles an hour. And there are 2 gone.
The right fielder.
The pitch up out of the zone.
Gary Sheffield.
You see, DeRosa wasn't real happy that he did swing at it, but you know, sometimes that, even though it's only 89 miles an hour, it's deceiving, especially up in that zone. You know, you see Russ Ortiz throwing at 90, 91 up in that zone. You think you can hit it, you just can't catch up to it.
Bounce up there, way in front of the plate. The runner will move up, diving into third base, and Giles is safe on a 55-footer by Serta. That bounced way in front of the plate, and Phillips had no shot.
Well, he did a good job just to get his body on that. Nothing you do, and a good read by Giles to get to third.
Giles just got into the game about 8 minutes ago, and he's already filthy. So Sheffield trying to pick him up. That one shot down the line. A slicing home run. Is it? No, it's up against the fence. Gary Sheffield racing into second. He's there with a stand-up double. He drives in the run. Giles scores, and a big run for Atlanta.
Well, that's why you didn't have to bunt him over.
Yeah, you get Gary Sheffield up there driving in his 70th run of the year.
The left fielder, number 10, Chipper Jones.
And you can see how he gets on top of that ball, and his swing is so level that he doesn't pop it up. He doesn't miss it. He just lines it off the wall. That's what I said earlier. He's not a towering home run guy, but those are the home runs he hits, and he's just got a great swing.
He just missed number 23 there. So on the day, Sheffield, a single, a double, 2 walks.
And that's why I say he's the MVP.
I know you love him as the most valuable player candidate, even over Albert Pujols right now. Chipper Jones looks at a strike. Today, 1 for 4 with a base hit way back in the first inning. It was off with Tom Glavine. A big run there for Atlanta. They may get a 3-run lead here in the 9th. He pulls a ground ball to Wigginton. And that's the inning. But 2 doubles in the inning. The last by Sheffield drives in Giles. John Smoltz coming through that bullpen gate, and we'll be back at Shea. We're back in New York. The rain stopped falling after 44 minutes, and then Atlanta decided to score another run. They're up 6-3. Marcus Giles just crossed the plate to do that. And here comes the best closer in baseball right now, John Smoltz. That ERA, you need a microscope to see. 0.97, 33 saves. We are not at the All-Star break yet, Mike Lansing.
It's amazing what arm surgery can do for you, I guess, nowadays. I mean, when he struggled, he was a starter. He's just putting up phenomenal numbers and with phenomenal stuff. And he came back off his surgery, gradually got back into it. His fastball's up in the upper 90s again now with a split finger, and he's almost unhittable.
Well, last night he picked up a save against the Mets, but he was wearing a white jersey, a T-shirt underneath his game top, and Art Howe demanded that be removed. At first they tried to cut the sleeve. He's wearing a gray one today that blends in better. It was white last night. So they tried to cut the sleeve off. That didn't work. It kept kind of tumbling out of the jersey, so he just removed the thing. Then went right back to work. Tony Clark, the man in the batter's box here. Bottom of the ninth inning, 6-3 Atlanta. 3 outs away from sweeping the series.
And you try to gain any kind of advantage, I guess, when you got a pitcher like that. Well, it's his sleeves. Well, you know what? I can't pick up the ball because the sleeves are white. Tuck them in, cut them off, something. It still doesn't matter.
I think it has a little bit more to do with the 96-mile-an-hour heater. Foul tipped at the plate. Clark on the day, 1 for 3 with a double. But really, that was turnabout being fair play, because the night before, Jay Sow was pitching for the Mets, the young rookie right-hander, and they made him remove a bracelet that he likes to wear. Bobby Cox demanded that be removed.
A little cat and mouse.
Yeah. No, that happens. You've seen it happen many times.
Sure. Oh, it's funny when I played in Boston, and also actually in Montreal with Pedro Martinez. Teams would make a big stink because he didn't like how the sleeves fit, so he'd cut the sleeves of his jersey so they'd be dangling a little bit. Well, some teams would complain, well, it's bothering them, you know, it's a distraction, the sleeves are waving, and, you know, or whatever. But when guys are that good, you want to try, I guess you try to throw them off their game, as little as it may seem, just to have some effect on them. And in most cases, it doesn't work.
With this guy, not much does. Smoltz has been phenomenal. You get the strikeout totals, 53 Ks in 46 in the third inning. And add another one. He strikes out Tony Clark one away in the bottom of the ninth.
And with a 90-mile-an-hour split finger, you cannot pick up the spin of that ball. It looks just like a fastball, and it just falls right off the table, and there's nothing you can do about it. He's like, where does that go? He's looking behind it, and it just disappeared.
You're not supposed to be able to throw a splitter 91 miles an hour, are you?
No, and you see...
With a rebuild elbow?
No, exactly. And you see these guys, I mean, Roger Clemens does it, and Kevin Brown come to mind, that will throw the ball, that have 94-mile-an-hour fastballs, 95, and then throw that splitter at that speed. And they're, you know, it's absurd. It's not fair. And you'd like, you know what, I'd like to see John Smoltz as a starter now. Would he still have that kind of stuff? Granted, he's a little older, but you know, maybe he's built differently now for the closer's role. But would he still have that kind of stuff?
Little blooper into center. Here comes Andrew Jones. He dives ahead and makes the catch. He held on to it. Classic Andrew Jones. And another web gem for A.J.
It's amazing. The reason that he gets to these balls is he plays so shallow. If you look in the outfield, this ball is a sinking line drive. He's playing over in right side of the second base bag and comes to the left side and makes it look easy. And that's not even close to the ground.
And he's made 100 catches better than that.
Oh. He plays so shallow, but he gets great jumps on the ball, going back, going in. And that's why he's won Gold Glove for five times.
5 in a row. So that brings up Jose Reyes. A little bit late on that pitch, and it's quickly 0-2. Smoltz, one more strike. He has 34 saves on the 9th of July. And Atlanta will have won 6 in a row. Steamrolling their way to the All-Star break. The 0-2 pitch. He didn't chase it.
He could legitimately have, if he gets today, have a chance at 38 saves if they have 4 games in Chicago.
Oh, Bobby's not bashful about working him 4 days in a row.
And knowing he's going to get a rest, probably, you know, and he may or may not pitch in the All-Star game.
The right-handed 1-2. Just a piece of it by Reyes. So today Atlanta got off to a quick start. 3 runs early against Tom Glavine, their former ace. And if the score holds up, they'll beat him again for the 3rd time this year. Home run by Franco in this contest, a screaming line drive. Little dribbler, but foul. Russ Ortiz pitched really well, 7 in the 3rd inning. He wound up giving up 6 hits to the Mets, and he'll be 12-4. And the combination of Ortiz and Smoltz, too difficult for the Mets to overcome on this day, and for most teams on any day. The 1-2 foul back.
Yeah, that's a pretty good combination, and it's tough to beat right there. And we got everything we expected out of Ortiz today. The high fastball, the good off-speed stuff, getting ahead of guys. Put to a 3-0 lead right away, it helps too.
The 1-2 again. Little dribbler on the infield to Giles. That's the ball game. Atlanta has swept the New York Mets. They win this finale 6-3, and that's 6 consecutive wins for the Braves. Ortiz the winner, Glavine the loser. 34 saves for John Smoltz. For Mike Lansing, Gary Miller, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dave O'Brien. Coming up next, it's Home Run Derby from 1998. We'll show you what was left after the rain delay. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. From New York, have a great night, everybody.
However, let's take a look at Bobby Cox's starting lineup. And today's starting lineups are brought to you by Kia and the all-new Sorrento SUV. Kia, make every mile count. For Atlanta, for Call, Giles, and Sheffield remain in the lineup, of course. Chipper Jones and Andrew Jones in the cleanup in 5th spot. Julio Franco will play again against the left-handed pitcher. And I tell you what, Julio, and he hit a home run yesterday off Tom Glavine. He's hitting .387 against left-handed pitchers for the year. Vinny Castillo will bat 7th. As usual, Henry Blanco will bat 8th and do the catching chromatics. And batting 9th will be the aforementioned Greg Maddux. The umpires for today's game behind the plate will be, well, let's do defense.